and let's get it. Man, so we back here on the Undisputed GOAT podcast. Last week we were absent from the channel, but if you tuned in to the Sports for You wrestling page, you guys was right in the thick of it, man. Had a great time. Shout out to Sports for You, by the way, for inviting us there. Hell of a collaboration. We was missing our three-part of our guy, Flash. We was missing him. He was up there partying in his great state of Wisconsin. We missed him on that one. But look, man, I'm just going to ask. That was supposed to be for the end of the show, but I'm just going to get right into it, man. Look, Royal Rumble, Flash, I want to know how big of a pop you gave Alexa Bliss. I'll wait.
Okay.
I've been waiting all week to ask you that, man. I've been waiting all week to ask you on the air in front of our audience how big of a pop that you gave Alexa Bliss. I know you love Alexa Bliss about as much as I love Jade Cargill, so I want to hear it. You got the floor.
Okay, so I was an hour. The part of the reason why I didn't do the show is one, I've been watching the Royal Rumble at the very. What's up, PSP? I've been watching the Royal Rumble with a buddy of mine. We've only missed one Royal Rumble together, I think, in the last 20 some years, and it was when he lived in New York and I lived in Arizona. Anywho, but I had a big party at the house and I was an hour behind, so that's why I didn't join the show. When I heard that she wasn't going to show up, when she didn't show up on the 13th, supposedly, I still think this thing is it's a whole big work. That's what I think. But when she posted that day a picture of her at home with her daughter, Hendrix, and I'm like, and it was like them on the couch looking at the TV, and I'm like, that timing's odd. And then it was the kid with the baby bottle. And I'm like, that kid's like almost past baby bottle stage. Mm-hmm. That's weird. But I'm like, nah, whatever. So then we start the party. And mind you, I'm probably 3 drinks in at this point. So now I don't drink that much anymore. So I was feeling myself a little bit. And all of a sudden, her goddess music hit. And my buddy Ryan goes, "See, dude, I told you." And I have a bar room downstairs. I literally turn and I just see her name sprawled across the stage screen. And needless to say, I acted a fool. If BRF called it in the chat, he's like, I had this image of you doing the I'm Not Worthy from Wayne's World. That's it. I got nominees. I was like, because I love Liv Morgan too. And I was like, Liv Morgan, get out of my way. I was just on the floor. My goddess, my queen, please. Oh, God. It was, besides the fact that I loved every second of that, she got the biggest pop of the night by far. Like, it wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close.
The closest one, oddly enough, was Joe Hendry. But to see her back in the ring after literally 2 years, boy, I there are no words. And then my, like, not childhood crush, because she's not like that much, but like late high school or late early 20s.
Yeah, they're no longer MILFs. They women our age.
Yeah. So like, I turn to my buddy and I go, I don't think I could emotionally handle it if Trish comes out after this. Now, yeah. And then like 3 spots later, Trish came out, and I just did one of these on the floor. Oh God! Like, just passed out. Like, just I'm like, oh my God, Trish and Alexa Bliss are in the same ring at the same time. I'm happy. I could have. The good Lord taken me in that moment, and I would have gotten up to the gates of heaven, and obviously he would have told me to turn around and go downstairs. But before I did, I would have said, Lord, I want to thank you for giving me, and that was my final moment on earth, because that was glorious. I want to thank you for that. And then I would have, yep, okay. But that was awesome. It was just awesome. Like, it was just like having both of them come out that short in amount of time. When I said, I'm just going to lose it. I wish they would have interacted more. I wish I've wanted Trish to do one more run after the run she had with Becky, because it was so good. Go ahead.
To the chat, we like to every so often hit you with some breaking news every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I got some breaking news. This is from the NBA. All right, so you remember, okay, so when the Lakers made the Luka trade, and people was like, okay, they can't be done. They got to get a big, right? And, they acquired Mark Williams from the Hornets, who, like, the last month or so has been balling for Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A condition in the trade wasn't satisfied, so that trade's been rescinded.
Oh.
Really?
So Mark Williams is staying in Charlotte.
Wow, that's after the trade deadline too.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, one of the conditions of the trade weren't satisfied, and it just got rescinded. So he's not going to LA.
Damn, that sucks for Los Angeles.
Yeah, I don't know what the condition is yet. If I see anything else, if it breaks during the episode, I'll definitely say something on here and let everybody know. But that, I was like, whoa, because I was thinking, like, man, Mark Williams goes to LA and then Luka comes to LA. That's a squad, but apparently he's not. Apparently at the moment he's not going.
The Hornets did not cancel the trade. LA did.
Yes.
So that
LA canceled it.
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
Charlotte didn't satisfy one of the conditions of the trade. What that means?
Oh man. Anyway.
Wow. Yeah. If anything else comes out, I will obviously update you. But that's that's. I mean,
that was one of the more underrated moves of the entire trade deadline, and the fact that just got rescinded is pretty big.
Yeah, that's real big. Yeah, because
now they have no rim protection whatsoever.
None.
Now,
they really,
it's the Lakers, and the NBA, forces trade with Luka as it is, so they'll probably give some
leeway.
So no, they'll probably get Hakeem Olajuwon to take some HGH and put him back on the Lakers or something like that.
Go away. Go away. Go away.
Oh gosh. Okay. I just want to get it out there. Okay. Back to your regularly scheduled topics.
Okay. So yes, when Trish and Alexa came out, I was overwhelmed with joy. And like I said, the good Lord could have taken me at that moment, and I would have been a happy man. That would have been amazing. That was cool. Again, I want a Trish and Alexa program, but I want Goddess Trish. Or I'm sorry, Goddess Alexa versus Trish. But overall, I thought the Rumble was phenomenal. Cody and Kevin had some of the best spots I've seen all year next to, I shouldn't say in the last calendar year. That was almost on par with Punk and McIntyre at SummerSlam. Or not SummerSlam.
The Bad Blood match?
Yes, in the cage. It was that good. I know everybody hates Charlotte winning. I know everybody hates it, but it's the right move because it's not for Charlotte. It's for Tiffy.
Yeah.
So everybody calm your tits and quit complaining. Same with Jey Uso. Jey Uso is one of the most over baby faces we've had, pure baby faces we've had in a while. It's not just his entrance that everybody's into. I was at SummerSlam 2 years ago in Detroit when he went against Roman Reigns for the title. That crowd was so hot for him to win that match. Like, you have no idea. Like, people were legit crying when he lost in Detroit 2 years ago at SummerSlam. So I just the only disappointment of that night to me was the tag team match.
Yes,
which I thought was going to be kind of, me and my buddies all thought that was going to be the match of the night. It was going to be kind of the show stealer, and it just kind of wasn't. But overall, I mean, you had Alexa Bliss, you had Trish Stratus, you had Charlotte returning, even though like the Charlotte thing seems so on the nose, but it's on purpose. It's to turn Charlotte into him. It's for her to get massive heat. Like, come on, people, catch up here. I thought it was a great Rumble. I thought it was one of the best Rumbles we've had in years, actually. I honestly did. I have no problems with really any of it. Do I not like Charlotte winning? Would have Alexa Bliss going over made everybody go nuts? Yeah. But that's not her story. Her story is Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt Six. Like, that should have told you that, like, when she came out in the gear that she came out in, that should have told you that Alexa Bliss wasn't going to win the Royal Rumble. Like, that's not her story. Nikki Bella coming out at 30. Okay. Who did we all want to come out at 30?
Wanted AJ Lee.
AJ Lee. Everybody wanted AJ Lee to come out. I'm here to tell everybody she ain't coming back.
Mm-mm.
It's not happening. She doesn't. I don't think she wants to. The injuries that she had and the reasons why she stopped wrestling in general, I just don't think she wants to. I think she makes an appearance at some point, like, but not in like a Rumble setting. I think she just makes an appearance to do something like just comes down on Raw or something like that. Sure, but yeah, I thought it was a great Rumble. Mark Williams didn't pass the physical. Okay.
Thanks, PSP.
Thanks, PSP. Talk about Bianca Belair. Her character since Detroit at SummerSlam and the knee injury angle has just been kind of stale. She's been kind of stale. She needs a heel run to kind of reinvigorate her character, in my opinion. I think we're at the point now with her that she needs a heel run, because I think they're waiting for Jade to come back, whether Jade's legit hurt or, in my opinion, what I think they're doing is they're fine-tuning her in-ring skills right now. That's what I think they're doing with her, because that's her problem right now. I don't think she was completely ready for in-ring, and they want to do Bianca and Jade, and she's not ready. And I think Bianca needs to be the heel in that aspect, because they want Jade to go over as a babyface. So I think Bianca needs the heel run. Joe Hendry, big, like, second biggest pop of the night. My daughter, so I was playing a prank. So my daughter likes to play music when she's taking a shower, and I connect my phone to the Bluetooth. There's a Bluetooth, like a Google HomePod in the bathroom, and she usually she's 7 years old. She usually likes to play like the Zombies 2 soundtrack, and for like a week and a half straight, she'd get in the shower, and I would just change the music to Joe Hendry's entrance music. She would get so pissed. Daddy, stop it! Oh, dude, it was so bad. And then she finally, now she's a huge wrestling fan, but she doesn't watch TNA. So when Joe Hendry came out, she finally kind of understood it, and now she gets it. So the fact that he got the second biggest pop of the night means that he's crossed
completely over.
Yes, like he will be in the WWE in the next year, in my opinion, or he'll be more active depending on his contract with TNA. He'll be more active in the WWE in the next coming year. That pop was unreal. Go ahead.
Let me ask something real quick. Doesn't it seem like TNA? I won't say, well, it's not TNA anymore. It's Impact. Doesn't it? Seem
no, go back to TNA.
Back to TNA. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like TNA is becoming another version of like NXT? It's like because you're seeing a lot of these superstars, they are in TNA. Then next thing you know, like months later, they're either in NXT or on the main roster in the WWE. So I just thought I was the only one that noticed that. Have y'all noticed that pattern? So
This is what happens when you have a crossover between two companies that makes complete and absolute sense.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
That this is what happens.
Here's the nice thing about what they can do. So like the WWE just released like 4 or 5 wrestlers, Sonya Deville, AOS or whatever, that useless tag team.
AOP, yeah. So it was Sonya Deville, AOP, Cedric Alexander. It was I think it was 1 or 5. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson got released. Isla Dawn got released. Blair Davenport got released.
And Luke Gallows.
AOP, you mean the poor man's version of the Legion of Doom, right?
Basically, yeah. That's that, yeah. Or like if like the Legion of Doom and the Shield had a baby.
Yeah, it's just
but a very boring version.
Yeah,
it's a very boring version.
Paul Ellering, you're probably one of the greatest managers of all time when it comes to tag teams, bro. You could have did better than that.
that whole the Final Testament or whatever, that group of kids, dude, they tried pushing that group so hard, and they were just so bad and so boring. It was too big of a faction, and they just didn't know what to do with them. And they got to stop with the overly like biblical like faction names. Like just like come up with something else. Anywho, but here's the nice thing to your point, Champ, about TNA. All those guys can go to TNA now and refine their skills instead of taking roster spots from real young talent in NXT. Like, I look at TNA as like, how do I compare it?
The USFL.
Kinda, yeah. Go refine your skills and then come back, or go into the G League. You go to the G League for a little bit, get your, work out your kinks, retool your character, and then, once you're, if there's a fit, come back. I think that's why it's a genius move by the WWE, because it just gives them another feeder system, which people will get upset about because people argue that, they're taking away talent from TNA. TNA is never going to get nowhere near as big as WWE. It just won't. It'll never happen. So the best thing that TNA can do is they'll take guys like that, because I think AO or ALP or whatever, there's potential there. They're athletic. They just need skills. Their skills need to be refined. They need practice and TV time, and they're just not ready for WWE yet. So I think it's a brilliant move. I think you're going to see guys like I said, like Joe Hendry on the main roster. Like, he's over. He's so over. So I'm excited to see it. And I'm dying to see Nick Nemeth back in a WWE ring. I need that to happen. Not as Dolph Ziggler either, as Nick Nemeth.
I'm not going to even lie to you. AOP, man, like I said, man, Paul Ellering, stop trying to recreate the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. I say this, man, because I say this, my 2 greatest tag teams of all time, this is just me because I'm old, is the Legion of Doom and Harlem Heat. That's just me. But the thing is, all of that over ass kicking gimmick is not going to work the way it did back in the 80s and early 90s. You need some skill now, and you actually got to know how to wrestle. And that, because remember, the Road Warriors had a reputation. They just go in the ring, beat the hell out of people, and then just walk out, and then it was over. But that doesn't work nowadays. You got to be an athlete these days. That butt kicking gimmick is not going to work. But have to say that. I have to ask y'all this, and I'll let you go first, BRF, man. What do you think about Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble and going over on arguably the greatest of all time in John Cena, man? What do you think about that, bro?
Well, I will also kind of let that get into my thoughts and everything as far as the Royal Rumble is concerned. So I'll start with this. I've never been happier to be wrong in my life.
Yes.
I have never been happier to be wrong in my life watching wrestling. I think this is the happiest I've been being wrong probably since, I'm trying to think. This is the happiest I've been being wrong since 2008 when John Cena came back at the Royal Rumble, because I thought he was going to be out a while. I thought he was going to miss WrestleMania and all that. I really thought, because that was a legit injury. And then he came back at the Royal Rumble, and I was just like,
oh, that wasn't an ankle injury? I thought it was an ankle injury.
What?
It was a shoulder. It was like a shoulder or whatnot.
Cena?
Yeah, it was a match. It was the SummerSlam match. It was a SummerSlam match against Batista.
Yeah,
he was going for his kind of leg drop thing, and Batista caught him into a Batista bomb, and it messed him up here.
It was a bicep tear.
It was a bicep tear.
I think so. And he should have been out like a year, and he came back in 6 months.
He came back in 6 months. So this is Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble is probably the happiest I've been being wrong since. And I gotta say, as far as Royal Rumbles I've watched, and I know there are many different opinions as far as like greatest Royal Rumbles of all time and all this other stuff. For me, this is a top 3 Royal Rumble of all time that I've watched. That was amazing. Because I'm looking at my favorite Royal Rumbles of all time, including this one, are 02 and 07. I have to really 02. I loved 02 because of how deep it was for that time. Attitude Era going into the Ruthless Aggression era at the time, but they were still able to pull off a Royal Rumble as deep as it was. Because I mean, it was a foregone conclusion that Triple H was going to win that, but the fact that they were able to pull that off, and then some of the moments in 02, like Maven, that was the one where Maven eliminated The Undertaker, among other ridiculous moments. So 02 is definitely up there, and then 2007 for me was just so well done, particularly with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels being the final two, setting up their rivalry for the future before Shawn retired and all that was just it was just great, and it was perfect. So they couldn't have done a better job with this Royal Rumble. They could not have done a better job with this Royal Rumble. It was so good, because a lot of times we watch Royal Rumbles and it's like, this person eliminated that person. I don't think there was a move as far as an elimination or a person eliminating a person where I was like, why they do that? I never got that feeling. I never got that feeling. Like, I did not like the little spot where it was kind of clumped up, because the whole thing with the Drew McIntyre and LA Knight having beef. Drew McIntyre was mad because LA Knight was trying to get his stuff in, because that was supposed to set up Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre down the line. That's what it was supposed to really set up. Because Damian Priest, I think, got the credit for the elimination on Drew, and that's supposed to set up a feud with them going. Damian going to SmackDown, Drew making it official. He's now on SmackDown. So Drew's first feud is going to be Damian Priest. I'm actually excited for it. I'm waiting to see where that's going to go. Now back to the Rumble. AJ Styles coming back. The Joe Hendry pop. Just, I say the most surprised I was Roman Reigns coming out at 16. Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to be a little later, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I liked it, because getting a big name in like that early was good, because then you can really set up some storytelling and do some building. And that spot between him and CM Punk and Seth Rollins was straight cinema. I loved every second of it. That Seth Rollins stomp, that first stomp, that almost, to me, you can almost play that in the story, in the storytelling between those two. Homeboy used both feet. Like, he wanted Roman Reigns gone. He wanted him to die. He wanted him to die. Like that was a 2-foot stomp. Like, I'm like, he really wanted him gone. Dude, and then he stomps him again on the steps. I'm just like, okay.
Dude, and Roman sold that first one. First I thought it was an accident. Now, mind you, I'm drunker now at this point during that match. And I'm like, Wow. Is that on accident or did they like it was whoa. But one thing I want to point out. So I always err on the side of what's the simplest answer going into Rumble wins. So the simplest answer was Charlotte for the women's and Punk for the men's. That was the simple
or Cena.
Or Cena, yes. I didn't think it would have been Cena because that his story is chasing the title. It's built into this run. So you're not going to have him, in my opinion, win the Rumble right away just to go to WrestleMania to lose. But the two, who is the biggest heel right now in the women's division?
The biggest heel in the women's division right now?
Yes.
Lord. Is either Liv Morgan or Nia Jax?
It's Liv.
It's Liv, yeah.
It's Liv. Who got the biggest pop in the women's Royal Rumble?
Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss.
Who eliminated Alexa Bliss?
Liv Morgan.
Who is the
so
biggest?
The Harley Quinns gonna fight each other.
Wait, here's the other thing. Who is the biggest heel right now in the men's? And I'm not just talking about like who gets the most heat and hate right now. Besides, but Dom's not it anymore. Who's the guy that everybody hates?
Right now,
Jacob Fatu.
No.
Probably Kevin Owens.
Logan Paul. And who eliminated the favorite and the people and everybody wanted to see win that Royal Rumble besides Cena? Paul eliminated Punk. After Punk eliminated Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins at the same time. The amount of heat that those two got was brilliant because right now the whole internet, Reddit, Bleacher Report, all the comment sections are like, Logan Paul's not a good heel. We just hate him because he's a Paul. Blah 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 blah. We don't boo him because he's a heel. We boo him because he's a Paul. Okay, that's part of the reason why he's such a good heel. If that's nuclear heat to do what he did, and I just want to. They gave both of their best some of their best heels. That's what they're supposed to do, and I thought it was brilliant. It was awesome. It keeps Liv's character going. It gives her something more beyond just Rhea Ripley. It's great. And I think the Logan Paul thing is fun. I love him. I love him as a heel. He is besides Kevin Owens, he is the best working heel they have right now. He just is. And he's stupidly good in the ring.
I'll say that, but I'll say this for Logan Paul though. There was a lot of match teases, like in particular WrestleMania match teases. I don't think Cena's going to be the match for him.
No, I don't think it's no.
I know. I get what you're saying though, because that was a wonderful display of work as far as the booking, getting that type of heat on him to eliminate CM Punk. I love that. But an underrated sneaky thing they did, Logan eliminated AJ Styles. I think that's the WrestleMania match for Logan Paul. I think it's AJ. But we'll see where that goes down the line. But when you look at the Royal Rumble, Jey Uso winning was the right move. As big a swerve as it is, because people were thinking CM Punk, people were thinking John Cena. As big of a swerve as it is to pull the trigger on Jey Uso, it's the right call. It's the right call. Go ahead, Flash.
Who does he choose?
Oh, Gunther, 1000%. He chooses Gunther. He chooses him 1000%.
I'm not.
I think Cena fights Rhodes at Mania.
No.
I don't think Cena wins the Elimination Chamber either.
Nope. You know why? Really? Because do you know who eliminates him? Orton. Orton is Cena's only last WrestleMania match. Orton's been off of TV. Cena's going to be off of TV until Elimination Chamber. It's got to be Orton. It
wouldn't shock me if Drew McIntyre is Cody Rhodes' opponent for WrestleMania.
No, I think Jey Uso is going against Cody, and I think that the story of that is, yeah, I know it's babyface versus babyface, but man,
I mean,
I'm just gonna say it. Gunther's boring right now.
But here's the thing though. If you want to have a shot to save his championship title reign, put him against Jey Uso and let him get that heat. If you want to save this reign, let him get Jey.
So you're saying he's going to go over Jey at WrestleMania?
The chance is there. I don't think they're going to.
Dude,
but I think the chance is there.
People would riot.
Yeah, they would. But guess what though? All the momentum Gunther lost, he would get it all back, and then just let him go on this ridiculous monster run until SummerSlam, where I think he could ultimately lose it. Me personally, I don't see that, because I see a scenario where during this road to WrestleMania, I see a scenario where Jey and Jimmy both win singles championships at some point. I think it's a high possibility. I would love to see a moment. Jimmy Uso is the United States champion. Jey Uso is the world heavyweight champion, and they get that moment to celebrate at the end of WrestleMania. That would, bro. Let me tell you something. I'm telling you, man. You want to see about 30,000, 40,000 dudes cry? Let that happen. Let that happen.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, Jey versus Gunther isn't either night's main event. It's not. There's no way. You cannot put Cody. Cody is one of them. Whoever he fights, and then you're telling me that Roman, Seth, and Punk in a triple threat match, which is what we're thinking is going. Is one of the main events. Like, dude, I can't. That there's your three. I can't put that over a Gunther and Jey match. As much as I love both of them, I actually love Jey and I love Gunther. I think, is there a chance that Gunther loses the title before WrestleMania?
There's a chance. Just depends on who he goes. It depends on the opponent.
It really does.
It depends on the opponent.
Y'all cook at this point, because all the creative guys when it comes to the
I just don't, dude. Because here's the problem. There's enough story between Roman, Seth, and my God, CM Punk, where you don't need a belt for that match. There's so much history there between Punk and Rollins hating each other, Roman and Rollins hating each other. Then you add in the, Punk and Roman, Paul Heyman guy thing. Like, there's so many intertwined things where you don't need a title, but I still feel like that's the main event, or at least night one or night. It's got to be night one, really, right?
You want to know what I think I would do in this situation? If you're gonna have Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins in a match like this, and you want the most heat possible, Drew McIntyre's in the Elimination Chamber match. Say he doesn't win it, make it a 4-way and add Drew.
And no titles on the line,
bro. You don't need it. You don't need a title with the triple threat. Add Drew to that and make it a 4-way. You definitely don't need a championship.
Fatal 4-way, or just or like elimination.
You can do it either way. If you add Drew, I will make it elimination. I really would. I don't think a match like that should be one fall to the finish. I think it should be elimination.
You don't think they would put Solo in that instead?
Nah, I don't know. I feel like part of me feel like they got something big for him, bringing him back now. I think they got something big for him. I don't know what, but they got something big in store for him.
They got to do something, man. I don't know
because you remember when I said, okay, he lost to Ulafalo to Roman, so now they got to go a different route with Solo. Now he needs to be a little more psychotic. He needs to be a little bit crazier. I think we finna get that. I think we about to get that. I think Solo about to set this. I get his character work. His character work was getting better up until the point where he lost to Ulafalo, and now it's time to add another layer. Now it's time to see how dirty and grimy he can really get. I'm telling you, man, Solo might be getting ready to pop off this time frame, going through Elimination Chamber in the WrestleMania. I think Solo about to pop off, like for real, for real.
All right, look, the way y'all be cooking, we will spend hours just on
that. We could go on.
Yeah, we really would. We really would. But real quick though, let me finish up because I ain't even get on my whole thoughts off the whole pay-per-view. Real quick. Yeah, the match of the night was definitely the men's rumble. Mm-hmm. But Cody and Kevin was like that close. Like that close. And, man, bro, Kevin Owens is really starting to earn them. I think Kevin Owens right now, if you want to make it, if Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania, I feel like Randy Orton is Mr. Survivor Series. If you want to say, gosh, who would be SummerSlam? I don't like saying his name. Probably Brock Lesnar's Mr. SummerSlam if you really want to go there. I think Kevin Owens is Mr. Royal Rumble. That man never puts on a bad match at the Royal Rumble. He doesn't. He never does. I think right now Kevin Owens could have a legit claim to being Mr. Royal Rumble. I really do. Women's Royal Rumble was really good. The best one for me is still the first one, 2018. I still think it's the greatest Women's Royal Rumble, but this one was good. I called Charlotte winning. I just felt like if you're trying to build up Tiffany Stratton into this next megastar of the women's division, I think not only do you have Charlotte win, I think you have Tiffany beat Charlotte. So we'll kind of see where that goes there. Yeah, I hated the most disappointing match of the night was Motor City Machine Guns and DIY because I felt like you give these four guys a 2 out of 3 falls match. I really thought they were going to steal the show. I thought they were about to pop off. And the pace quickened and it got better as the match progressed. But I will say this, though. The Street Profits. I love what they are doing with the Street Profits now. I don't think they're full-fledged heels, though. What I would do with them, though, like you remember when they did the faction with Bobby Lashley for a brief moment, they had the new theme music, the We Won't Smoke song. They should let them use that song now instead of that song that they like the Bring the Swag song. That's more of like fan friendly. That's more like having fun and all this stuff. No, get rid of that one. Let them use the new edgier song. They don't have to be heels, but if you have not seen that promo they cut on SmackDown, y'all need to watch. Mm-hmm. Because I'm telling you, this could very well be, from a tag team perspective, this could be the year of the Profits if they do it correctly. This could legit be the year because that was the best promo they've ever cut, and they're really good on the mic. That was the best promo they've ever cut. I'm telling you, if they stay on this track with the Street Profits, I'm telling you, boy, this could legit be their year if they stay on the path with them now. Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford, I'm telling you, boy. I'm telling you, man, watch for them in 2025, man. They gonna do something. But overall, yeah, like I said, that men's Royal Rumble is probably top 3 for me all time. That was incredible.
Hey, can't argue with you there, man. But let's move forward and get into the very thing that not only took over Royal Rumble weekend, but it took over the whole damn Super Bowl week, if you really want me to be honest with you, because the NBA trade deadline, it was just crazy. It took all over the entire week. I mean, the trades happened to a Royal Rumble weekend, number one, and then it just got better throughout the week, man. So my thoughts on that is this. Look, I was shocked, even as a Laker fan, to see us get Luka for so little. It seems like we got him granted, we had to trade Anthony Davis in order to get him, who was doing damn good this year. We are the 5th seed right now. But it seems like that, Luka is worth nothing less than 4 first-round picks. I mean, Rudy Gobert got 4 first-round picks. They got 4 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. So I'm shocked to see what we got for so little. Like I said, granted, we traded Anthony Davis, who is arguably the team's second greatest player. But the thing is, I would have thought we would have had to give up the whole farm, the horse, the guns in the house, and the bathtub in order to get it. So that was a shocker to me. But to be honest with you, I'm excited to have him. There's been a lot of rumors that, because of his weight and conditioning, and there's been a lot of conspiracy theories. Look, I'm going to just be real with you. And I think I said this last night on PSP's podcast. I don't think that a lot of teams in the NBA or any sport on the U.S. soil, for that matter, outside of baseball, I will say outside of baseball, I don't think nobody is ready to pay somebody $86 million a year. I really don't think that. And I think this is more of a money issue, more so than it was him being a conditioning issue. Because if you notice, a lot of guys, Charles Barkley, Zion Williams, rest in peace, Oliver Miller, Glenn Robinson, the big dog. You notice when their weight fluctuates, and I know a little something about that myself, but I digress. When their weight fluctuate, their performance suffers. His has not.
No.
His has not. So the thing is, even though his weight is fluctuating and he drinking Fosters and eating fried sausage or whatever he does, his weight is not affecting his game. In fact, he's gotten better and better every single year. So I don't really think it was problems with his conditioning. I think that this new ownership, they just bought the team 2 years ago. They're not being allowed to build their casino in Dallas at this point. So a lot of their money is not going to be, a lot of money that she thought she was going to be able to make, because Mark Cuban is not the majority owner anymore. A lot of the money that this young lady thought she was going to be able to make in Dallas, she's not going to be able to make at this point, at least for right now, until she gets it approved, and because they're trying to build a new stadium. But
so you're trying to build a new stadium and you get rid of I know they are, and you get rid of the second or third best player in the league at 25 years old?
Yes. Nico Harris is an idiot, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I don't look okay.
Nico Harris is an idiot, but we knew that when he blotched the Nike meeting with Steph Curry and called himself. But I digress. But the thing is, I don't think that they were ready to pay. This is a new owner. I don't think they were ready to pay him $86 million a year.
You don't think there's anything to the conspiracy theory that they want to move this team to Vegas?
No. You're going to make the thing is no. The reason why I say that, Flash, you got to give me a shot, man. The reason why I say that is because you're going to make more money in Dallas. There's no state income taxes.
And you keep your 25-year-old generational talent in town.
I know that, but the thing is, you're not going to be able to get anything if you're paying this guy $86 million a year. That's going to take up the majority of the salary cap. That's what I think they're more afraid of than anything. Like I said, and she's a new owner. Remember, the same thing happened. People don't want to acknowledge this because they rather bash LeBron. People don't want to acknowledge that that's the reason that Dan Gilbert didn't get any help for LeBron back when he first took over the team. He had just bought the team. So that's the whole thing. They had just bought the team.
Sorry, I let this simmer. I was gonna make a TikTok video about this because I let it. I wanted to let the shock run off first, and then listen to others' opinions about this, and then kind of go from there. There is no excuse to trade a 25-year-old. Luka's stats match up with LeBron's stats.
Yeah.
In this stages of their that early in their age and career.
I agree.
There is no, and I think the whole report that they reached out to the Bucks for Giannis is garbage. I think that was just floated out there so they didn't look like they only spoke to the Lakers. Every report that I've seen is they only spoke to the Lakers, and that was it. There is no excuse to trade a 25-year-old generational talent for pennies on the dollar, and you didn't shop him around the whole league. There's none. Even if you want to make money, build a stadium. It's way easier to sell building a stadium with the second best player in the league that just got you to the finals the year before at 25 years old. There is the conspiracy theorist in me. The fact that now this is I'm trying to pull my Lakers hate out of this as much as possible.
No, turn it on. I want to see this.
I think it's bogus. I think this is garbage. I think this is trash. I think this is terrible for the league. I think the fact that there are conspiracy theories about the owners that they want to move to Vegas. There are conspiracy theories that the fact that ratings are in the tank right now with the NBA. So the NBA either said, hey, make this trade happen, or they just kind of turned a blind eye to it. I'm just going to say it. Now, look, as a franchise and a historic franchise, the Lakers are up there with every franchise known to man. Manchester United, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Packers, whatever historical team that you want to go with. But the fact that they keep getting this, I'm just going to say it, shit handed to them is kind of gross. It just is. It's just gross. I don't Pelinka got an extra pick out of it. What did Pelinka do? Just call him well, I don't know. I'm not going to make this trade unless you just, throw in another second. There's just no reason for this. There's just none. This makes no sense on any level. Even if, and yeah, him being fat and all that kind of stuff doesn't make, because he looks in great shape right now. He looks like he's been working out during this calf injury. And what's messed up now is that the Dallas created a monster, possibly. Luka has the potential now to go on this unbelievable FU run to the league, Dallas, everybody. And it was just handed to the Lakers. And it's garbage. It's just garbage that they keep getting handed crap like this. It just is. They got handed Paul Gasol for pennies on the dollar. I just, I mean, the only credit that I give them is drafting James Worthy and Kobe Bryant. What? And Magic.
But like I said, I was shocked. I don't mean to interrupt you, Fran. I was shocked as a Laker fan, man. I was shocked. I'm glad we got him. But like I said, even if he had conditioning issues, it's not like his performance is suffering.
No,
I don't think you trade him. And like I said, I can't speak from a fanboy. I got to be a responsible journalist. You cannot trade him just because conditioning issues that has not reared its ugly head. If it was Zion, I understand. Get his behind up out of here. I mean, you can't be down here hanging out with Champ in the deli all the time and expect to play basketball.
All right, I want to hear what BRF is the only one that doesn't have any kind of bias in this. So I want to hear what you think, because I don't have, I'm trying to take my Lakers hate out of this as much as possible, but I've racked my brain that this doesn't make any sense. And I want to know.
Like I said, he shouldn't have got traded, if you want me to be honest with you, before BRF goes. I don't think he should. I don't think the Dallas Mavericks, if I'm a franchise and I'm trying to build a new stadium and I'm trying to get them to let me build a casino there and turn it into a theme park there, I'm not trading my guy. But the thing is, like I said, I believe they did not. I don't believe they were comfortable with paying him that $86 million a year, because if you start paying $86 million a year, it's only a matter of time in the NBA before you have to pay $100 million a year, and then contracts are gonna start getting super fucking out of hand. Then, excuse my language, I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Okay. Well, for one, I remember that Sunday morning because this was like right after the Royal Rumble finish. So I went to bed like shortly after the watch along ended. Shout out to Trail and shout out to John. I went to bed shortly after that ended, and then I woke up at like I'm talking about with my phone I have an alarm set to like 6 o'clock every day, like whether I go to work or whether I don't, and it went off. So I woke up, I look at my phone, and I'm seeing, and I just kind of waking me up a little bit. Next thing you know, I'm seeing like Luka with the Lakers. I saw I saw Sham's tweet, and I'm like, wait a minute, what?
You got hacked.
That was the first thought that came into my head was, did somebody just really hack Sham's account? But then when I saw him post again and he said, yes, this is real. And then he laid out the details of the trade. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You get Luka Doncic to the Lakers. You got to, for AD. You got to be you kidding me. Now, first off, getting this off my chest. It's really ticking me off. It really ticked me off. And Champ, I think you saw this a little bit. It ticked me off the way people have just been talking about Anthony Davis like he's still in the top 10 player in the world when he on this game. Like, oh man, they just traded Luka for like a sack of chips and all of that stuff. I'm like, I know we ain't talking about Anthony. I know we ain't just sitting here comparing Anthony Davis like he ain't nothing, like he's still in the top 5 defensive player and a top 10 overall player in the world. Like we ain't finna do it. We ain't finna do it. And even today, first game and I hate it because that's the one thing Champ brought up was his injuries. He suffered a non-contact injury today in his first game with Dallas, but he also got 26 points and 16 rebounds and just absolutely went off his first game with the Dallas Mavericks. So that was the one that kind of got to me a little bit. I'm like, hey, I get Luka's the future. Luka's gonna be around. Anthony Davis is 31. I get that. Luka's got more years. But this is what I'll say. I'll say this. The Mavericks, I kind of hate it. He has this pressure on him, but the Mavericks better get to the NBA finals in the next 2 years, or this is going to be one of the worst trades in the history of sports.
The fans were outside of Dallas Stadium, like
about to riot.
Oh yeah, no joke.
Nico Harris is getting death threats.
Yeah,
like was legit getting death. Now, to y'all fans doing that, cut that crap out. At the end of the day,
I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Cut that crap out. At the end of the day, it ain't that deep. It still ain't that deep. It's just exactly facts. Exactly. It's just a game. But I tell you what though. From a non-biased perspective here, I'm looking at this move and I'm thinking to myself like, okay, how do I analyze this? How do I look at this as far as like short term, long term? How do I analyze this? I feel like now with the Mark Williams trade, now that we have more news, now that the Mark Williams trade has been rescinded in the short term, I'm looking at Dallas. I'm looking at how that team is constructed. This is how I'm going to put this. The way the Dallas Mavericks are constructed, as much as we love Luka Doncic, and he's a top 3 player in the world, that defense is infinitely better with the way that team is constructed now.
Yeah, okay,
infinitely better.
Go ahead. Yep.
And that defense, the defense is infinitely better. Infinitely better. Because now you're looking at your front court is ridiculous in Dallas with AD. Because you have Derek Lively, you have PJ Washington, you have AD, you have Daniel Gafford coming off the bench, rim protection, athleticism, running at bigs, running in transition, PJ Washington being able to shoot the 3 as a big, AD being able to stretch the floor. He can shoot a 3 every so often. He's got a good mid-range game. And then your backcourt is Kyrie and Klay Thompson. So I like it from a defensive standpoint in the short term. In the short term, Dallas, as long as everybody As long as everybody's on the court, and as long as the chemistry with the team grows, this team can do some damage. And I'm talking about as constructed with the West. Conference finals is possible with this roster. It still is, whether people want to admit it or not. Conference finals is a possibility with this roster. However, when I see LeBron and I see Luka Doncic together, once they're on the floor at the same time, I think this is like the scariest duo potentially that we've ever seen. And this is with LeBron being 40 and still doing what he's doing.
This extends LeBron's career.
Exactly. If LeBron doesn't go anywhere, this gets you at least another 2 years possibly out LeBron. If you're not trying to trade him, if you're not going to try to trade him and you're going to let him retire in LA, you're basically giving him about 2-3 shots to go win a 5th championship with a Luka Doncic, and then it's just a matter of constructing the team around them to the best possible ability in order to contend and get you to a championship. Because LeBron and Luka, similar in a way, they're not the greatest. I think Luka, they're similar. Their playmaking skills, their ability to see the floor. If anything, Luka's probably, I don't know, the 3-point shooting is kind of like, I don't know, kind of toss up with the 3-point shooting. I would take Luka in the 3-point shooting, but that's just me. But I think it's just a matter of being able to construct that team as far as getting the right piece around you. Because shout out to Austin Reeves, homeboy went off tonight. I think he became the 4th Laker in the last, I believe, 20 years to score 45 in a game. He joins AD, he joins Braun, he joins Kobe. Only the 4th guy in the last 20 years to score 45 in a game. So that speaks to the depth that the Lakers do actually have on that roster. You got him, you got Rui Hachimura, who I've been a fan of since the Wizards. I was hoping the Mark Williams trade went through because I think he's better for the starting lineup than Jackson Hayes, because Jackson Hayes is not a good rim protector at all. That's the one thing that scares me about the Lakers is currently constructed. Jackson Hayes is your starting center. Now, I will say this though, with the trade being rescinded, this does bring Dalton Connect back, and we saw what he was doing before the trade happened. Homeboy's a bucket off the bench, so he gives you more scoring off the bench. But I'm looking at the trade now. If I can truly analyze the trade, I analyzed it a little bit last night, and I'm just looking at it now, and I'm thinking about Nico Harrison, and I'm just like, I get what you're saying, champ, about because the contract was what? It was 5 years, $345 million. So that's $69 million a year. I get it. But I also look at Luka from the standpoint of, you are lucky enough to have a guy this caliber, this good already. Sometimes swallow your pride at the door, go and pay the man. Whether you want to or you don't, sometimes you just have to think. You just have to think. Okay. If you're only outside of AD, if you're only gonna get that return back for Luka Doncic, just get a man the money. Just get a man the money. And now you're kind of in this situation. Your championship window has like closed. It's not completely closed, but I'm looking at it from a standpoint like you got 2 years to do something. You got 2 years to do something. Otherwise, I don't know what you're gonna do. I think, and you know what I'm saying, Kyrie's not getting any younger. AD's not getting any younger. Klay Thompson's best years behind him, even though he can still shoot. His best years are behind him. So it's basically, your core is basically like, I mean, granted, PJ Washington good, but I don't think he's like a future face of the franchise core type of guy. So it's like with the pieces you got, you basically looking at a couple of shots to do this, and you have to do this. You somehow, through the grace of God, you have to win a championship to validate this trade. Otherwise, you're screwed for the future.
I have heard every NBA analyst that I have listened to, everyone from Bill Simmons to Zach Lowe to Ryan Russillo to Stephen A. Everybody that nobody thinks that this trade makes sense. On top of how it was handled, makes it even worse. One, you don't tell Luka. LeBron wasn't even, although that I have a little bit of hard time believing in a little bit.
I don't think LeBron James would think you could get Luka Doncic in that situation.
Yeah, but you're trading another clutch guy.
True.
So I just, the fact that I have a hard time believing LeBron and Clutch didn't know. Maybe this was complete, because I know Pelinka and Nico have been close for years. So maybe this was truly just those two. Because both AD, because everybody's talking about how Luka just bought a house and closed on it. So did AD in LA. They both closed on houses just recently. So, and nobody from all reports in the league knew, because Luka wasn't shopped at all. And I'm going to push back on AD's top 10 right now. I don't think he's top 10. I think he's right outside the top 10. I think he's like 13 area. I
don't think there are 12 better players than him.
All right. Let me hold on. Let me go through a list here. Okay. Hold up 1 second. Okay.
Well, I tell you what. Well, if you find a list, you run them. If you find a list, you run them down. I'll give you my opinion.
All right, Nikola Jokic.
Easy.
Okay. Luka.
Easy.
Giannis.
Yes.
SGA.
I would. Ooh, right now probably yeah.
Jason Tatum. You got to factor in age to this as well.
Yeah.
Steph Curry. Still yes.
I still a yeah.
LeBron James.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid when healthy, because you make the same argument with AD about health.
When healthy, yes, because Embiid's a better outside shooter.
Kevin Durant.
No.
Anthony Edwards.
No.
Wemby.
I'm not ready to go there yet. I'm not ready to go there yet. Yeah. Because it's not for me. Last year, no. This year, with the growth in his offense, yes.
Here's the other thing you got to factor into. Who are the untouchable? Like before this trade Saturday night, who were you would have thought would have been the untouchable draft? Like, no matter what, you wouldn't trade. They weren't being traded. It would have been Giannis, SGA, Wemby, Luka,
Jokic.
And Tatum.
Yeah.
So right there is what, 6?
That's 6.
Okay. You're not gonna trade Curry. Curry's really not tradable to a certain extent. Yeah. I don't think he's, don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing shade at Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, when he's right, is one of the most physically gifted NBA talents we've ever seen walk onto a floor, with his ability to play defense and offense and stretch the floor and everything else. But at this point, it being a 31 versus a 25-year-old number 2 player in the league. And here's the thing. I if you look at it just on paper, I agree with you on the short term. I think Dallas, yes, is in a better position. But I also think that you just demoralized a fan base. And you demoralized a locker room, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Kid knew. Kid didn't look like he knew in that press conference.
Kid didn't know. Did you see his face in that press conference?
How about? I
Dude.
thought Jason Kidd was eventually going to get up and just choke the hell out of Nico.
Oh, I thought so too.
I was like, he gonna choke
real quick. No, Champ will tell you this. When we were talking about it last night with him and PSP, I said Jason Kidd reminded me of the Arthur meme, like how you looking at his face and he might look all calm, but if you pan down to his hand, he's got his fist balled up like you about to punch him in the face.
Dude,
that was Jason Kidd. That was Jason Kidd.
Dude, I would have slapped, dude. I can't. There's nothing about this that makes sense. It's why the conspiracy theories are a thing. This doesn't make any sense at all. It just doesn't. I can't think of a. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. But if they win a championship, would that validate it completely?
Talking about the Mavericks?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah. They only need to get no. Yes, it does. I'm not saying this. Look, it's still a stupid trade. It's still a dumb trade. But from the Dallas Mavericks perspective, if they get one, what can we say? What do we say? The only thing we have is, man, why would you trade him? But then it's like, if they win it anyway, if they win one in the next 2 years,
because this isn't like Dallas was far off or losing in the first round. They just were in the finals last year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like. It's not like and like, don't get me wrong, I know Luka's been hurt, but like,
it would have made more sense if Dallas would have traded like 4 first-round picks in order to get AD to add to that team. If you really want me to be honest with you, it would have made more sense for that to happen. But like I said, and that's just my humble opinion. It would have made more sense for them to say, "Hey, we need more rim protection. We need more of this. We need more scoring down low." LA will give you 4 first-round picks in order to get him, but LA, and I'm pretty sure they ran that by LA at a certain point, but or not. But I would have if I was Dallas, and I'm pretty sure that that's what they needed. But I wouldn't have traded Luka. Like I said, as a Laker fan, I'm happy to have him. I wouldn't have traded him. And like I said, if Mark Cuban was still the majority owner,
there's no way.
There's no way. I would have a better chance of going outside in the middle of Georgia in the summertime on the 4th of July, throwing a snowball at somebody. So I would have a better chance of doing that. But I do not think if Mark Cuban was the owner. But this is, like I said, this is new ownership. I've heard about all the conspiracy theories. These are new owners, and throughout every sports league, we've seen first, second year owners do a lot of drastic stuff in order to change the dynamic of teams.
Yeah.
I mean, the Denver Broncos, look what happened with the Denver Broncos were on the verge of the playoffs last year. They were on the verge of the playoffs. And they benched Russell Wilson. And they paid him every dollar that was left on his contract. And he got signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers and made another couple $1.5 million. Yeah. They paid that whole contract and let it count towards the salary cap. Although they damn near made it to the playoffs. We've seen this with second year owners. Like I said, and I brought this up earlier.
But Russell Wilson, but
we saw this with LeBron and Dan Gilbert not getting any help because guess what? He had just bought the team.
But at least he tried though.
So yeah, I mean, with these second year owners, it's always a slippery slope with these guys. Because guess what? I mean, the only thing about Magic Johnson and Josh Harris, they didn't have these cap problems that was going on. This team was in a complete rebuild. So they didn't have these problems that these owners with these established teams have.
I just don't. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense. But from a money standpoint, I just bought this team. I'm up to my neck in debt because the first couple of years they up into their neck in debt as far as getting the team, getting the building, getting rights, and getting all that. You got to buy all of that. It's more than just a team. So yeah, they're probably like, look, I'm not trying to pay nobody almost $80 million a year. Let me get him up out of here so I don't have to pay that amount get me somebody in here, a viable replacement like an Anthony Davis that I can pair up with Kyrie and these role players that I have. And guess what? I'll leave that problem to somebody else in order to play him. That's my thinking about it as a businessman. Does it make sense still? Hell no. It makes not as much sense as that. But I could get the logic of them not wanting to pay that kind of money, because eventually you got to think about it. These owners are in cahoots. They're in cahoots. Because
that's why I think the move to Las Vegas is a possibility.
That's another possibility as well. But you can rest assured, if that contract would have gone through for almost $70 million, you can rest assured it would have only been a matter of time before another contract came out for $100 million a year. Well, somebody would have been paying.
There was this.
It would have been a matter of time. So I think that's why they trade him more so than making the excuse of conditioning. No, his play has never suffered. So I think that they are really harping on, we can't let these salaries get up too far.
Well, I want to point out something. So just recently, with all the Jimmy Butler drama, Charles Barkley and Kevin Garnett both came out and said that the way players are acting nowadays, you could see in the next CBA where guaranteed contracts go out the door because of the way that there's because the one thing that we haven't talked about with this yet is if LeBron didn't, obviously Luka didn't know. That dude still looks like he got a prostate exam a couple days ago. Like he looks in shock and still like he just looks like not happy and in shock. Like he just looks it. And if LeBron and Clutch legit didn't know and AD didn't know, this is now we've been coming off of the last 20 years of the player empowerment era,
except in the NFL.
No, I'm talking about just NBA.
Okay,
like pure player, like it's like the players run the league, like they're the one that make decisions. Not with this at all. That's the huge part about this that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. Is this was old school? You're talking about ownership. This was old school. We're in charge, not the players, and that's.
Yeah,
and I think that the players and the way that they take time off now and load management, and I think that this was a blow to how much control players have, and I don't know, dude. Is this the most shocking trade ever?
Oh,
it's up there. It's up there.
It's up
there. I think you're looking. If you want to talk, I'm trying to think. If you want to talk about most shocking trades,
Gretzky to the Kings.
Gretzky to the Kings is up there.
I would say the Herschel Walker trade to Minnesota only because of the amount of haul they got back.
Yeah,
and what it turned into.
The Eric Dickerson trade was shocking.
Who was?
The Eric Dickerson trade.
Eric Dickerson, yep.
The Shaquille O'Neal going to free agency. I know that wasn't. A trade, but I thought it was going to stay in Orlando. It was a lot of. Like I said, I think this is a business move by the owners. I think that all of these young men and women are in cahoots, and they're trying to make sure that that collective bargaining agreement does not get up to like $400-500 million. I don't think the NBA, or I don't think outside of MLB that sports on American soil is ready to have a what's the guy's name? I don't think that they are ready to have a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Messi in American sports at this point, other than outside of baby baseball. I don't think so. I think Ohtani was an anomaly, and I think these NFL owners and these basketball owners are determined not to let salaries get up that high. And that's why I think that's why they made that trade. Because like I said, if he would have got that money, it would have been only a matter of time before someone got a $400 million contract.
Yeah, but aren't like salaries are set, aren't they? In the NBA, like when you get a supermax, it's like a certain percentage of the salary cap.
Yeah, certain percentage of the salary cap. But
it's like a certain number of years of service, and you have to meet a certain level of play to qualify for like the full supermax deal. Because Luka would have qualified for the 5-year, $345 million supermax, but because he got traded to the Lakers, he can only get 5 for $239.
They cost him $100 million.
Exactly. So
the other, but to counter your point though, that percentage just goes up with the cap. So if the cap goes up, then that goes up. So like it's not like where baseball where it's just the numbers just keep climbing and then there's no cap that goes along with it. Excuse me. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of this and I just can't. There's got to be, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's as simple. We just didn't look. One of my biggest red flags. Okay, I don't believe the whole he's fat and out of shape and doesn't take care of himself. Here's the other thing too. Like we look back at someone like Larry Bird that literally shoveled his own driveway and drank a 30-pack before games or after games and did stuff like that. And we look at that as like the golden era, and that was like with some fondness. So like. If Luka's like having a couple beers after a win, and he's still dropping 30 and is the second best player in the league, like I ain't crying about it. But normally, like my biggest red flag is if you do have a weight problem coming, like when the Packers drafted Eddie Lacy, I didn't like it because I look at it and I go, if your one job as an athlete is to take care of your body, that's your one job. If you can't do that, that's a huge red flag to me.
Yeah.
He's still the second best player in the league. He hasn't even hit his prime yet.
I mean, I think another trade that I can equate this to, because the Phoenix Suns got Charles Barkley for pennies on the dollar. They got him for pennies on the dollar for Philadelphia when they traded Jeff Hornacek and a couple. I think it was a few picks for him, but not nearly what he was worth. But I equated to that trade as well. Now we expected that trade, but I can equate it to that trade as well. But like I said, I don't think they was ready for that $300 million contract that he was. Although he would have been worth every single penny of it, in my humble opinion. I don't think they was ready for that, especially with this new ownership. To be honest with you, I don't really think they were. And that's
I think in terms of just overall sports transactions, I think this is the most shocking sports transaction since Kevin Durant signed with Golden State.
Yep, and the most.
Yeah, but at least there were rumors of it happening.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was like, bro, they just did a 3-1 on you in the Western Conference Finals, and you go join them. Like, whoa, okay, then.
I would say you would have this trade with Luka, Durant signing with Golden State, Gretzky to the Kings, Babe Ruth to the Yankees. And he was just sold to the Yankees. He wasn't even traded.
I think Harry Frizzy got tired of his behind. Harry Frizzy in his defense, I know he gets a lot of flack, but look, you talk about guys nowadays going out having parties. You talk about Dennis Rodman. Babe Ruth was Dennis Rodman before Dennis Rodman.
Dude, there's some really.
I got a question to present to y'all, fellas, real quick. While we're talking about transactions, we're talking about trades and everything. What do you think in terms of transactions? Which one do you think is the biggest missed opportunity that could have changed the face of a league had it happened?
The greatest missed opportunity had to be Chris Paul to the Lakers.
Alex Rodriguez to the Red Sox.
Barry Bonds to the Braves.
I think A-Rod to the Red Sox beats that because I think the A-Rod not going to hear me out.
I'm listening.
A-Rod not going to Boston not only affected one of the biggest rivalries in sports, if ever. It also affected the players' union and ownership as well because of contracts. The effects of that of him not signing. That's not even a trade. That's more of a signing. Him not signing with Boston is bigger than Bonds not being traded to the Atlanta. Just
the reason why I disagree with that is because if you put Barry Bonds with that Braves lineup in the early 90s, we're not talking about them being the Buffalo Bills of Major League Baseball in the decade of the 90s.
I got one. Tom Brady not going to San Francisco.
Ooh.
Tom Brady was Bill Belichick went to ownership and wanted to trade Brady. This is before he won 3 more in New England.
Before he won 3 more, yeah.
Belichick wanted to trade Brady, not Garoppolo.
Man,
I'd say that one beats Bonds. Because you're talking about, well, not that Bonds is arguably the greatest of all time, but you're talking about, the Michael Jordan of football.
I get that. I get that, but I seriously think you literally hand the 1990s to the Braves in terms of World Series championships if they acquire Barry Bonds.
Because I seriously do. None of that core was ball.
Not only that, then you would have got Greg Maddux on top of that too in his prime.
Okay, so I'm going to play a counter argument. We talked about Bonds, I think this past summer, and how poorly he played in the playoffs, except for 1 year. I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
The thing was with us, we were missing that one guy outside of David Justice and Gary Sheffield that could really bring us some hitting power. We needed hitting power. And I think Barry Bonds could have very well provided that to the Braves if he was there. And I think if anybody could have known how to handle huge personalities, it would have been Bobby Cox. I think Bobby Cox would have brought the best out of Barry Bonds. And I think he would have been very, very understanding because we had a lot of personalities on that team. Not to mention, you got to think about, Bobby Cox had to deal with John Rocker. You had to deal with John Rocker and that whole controversy. So, yeah, there was.
Okay. I'm going to play a little bit of a counter argument to what the Braves needed.
Yeah.
Because I was a Braves fan growing up, and especially in that time period. I don't think they needed anything. I think they just choked.
I'm just having enough bats. Like I said, the only thing that we had as far as hitting power was David Justice. Once a lot of the bats was gone, we had a lot of good pitching, a lot of great defense, but we didn't have a Mr. October. That was what was missing from us. We needed a constant Mr. October.
Yeah.
We needed that. So that's what really hurt us when we got to the World Series was batting power, was that offense. Defense pitching, that's the best. Look, that's the best bullpen. That's the best pitching you're ever going to get.
True. I have another trade that almost went through that didn't happen. Aaron Rodgers to the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, for Randy Moss. Yeah. Oh my God. Look,
that one is massive if that happens. Like, you don't get the undefeated season by the Patriots. Rodgers
plays for a few more years in Green Bay. That trade
probably plays another couple of years, maybe, depending. Although he was so wishy-washy at that time, you didn't know.
Yeah, why he was so wishy-washy because it's different. I'm gonna just be real. It's kind of like at your job. And because I compared the NFL to NBA, this is at the end of the day, it's entertainment, but it's a job. It's kind of hard not to be wishy-washy and want to leave a company that you're with when you constantly looking over your shoulder at this guy that they hired in order to do your job. So it's kind of like when you're looking over your shoulder, I'm like, I don't really know if I'm gonna be here long enough. Yeah, you want to put them on edge in order to force them to make decisions to benefit you. But if they would have traded in order to get Randy Moss, you had Donald Driver, you had Greg Jennings, you had guys that were there already, and then you would have had Randy Moss, and it's a straight up trade. Not to mention that year, Megatron was coming out in the draft. You have a quarterback now, so you draft Megatron instead of going with Jamarcus Russell. So that affects players as well.
You don't get the 07 Patriots either. You don't get
those 7 Patriots either. It's Favre versus Brady in the Super Bowl. We finally get one of those, but I think Brett Favre probably gets another Super Bowl.
Probably, maybe, yeah. There's another trade that almost happened that didn't happen. It would be John Elway to the Oakland Raiders. That was nixed by Pete Rozelle because Pete Rozelle hated Al Davis.
Yeah, but hey, he almost because not only that, Al Davis didn't want to pull the trigger because he would have had to trade Howie Long to Chicago.
Yep, because Chicago owned a certain amount of like first round draft picks or something.
They had a first. No, I'm not going to give you Howie. Look, can you imagine this? Howie Long on that defense with Richard Dent and the Fridge and Dan Hampton already.
Oh, this was the 80. Oh, this was the 85.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So John Elway.
How long on that defense?
Yeah. John Elway refused to play with the Colts, but he was real close to being traded to when he was drafted by Baltimore, and he was going to be traded from Baltimore to Oakland for 3 first-round draft picks, one which belonged to Chicago, who agreed to cough up the 6th pick for a trade involving Hall of Fame defensive end Howie Long, plus 2 second-round picks for John Elway.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Al Davis would not give them Howie Long. He was like, no,
and Pete Rozelle was like, that ain't happening, Al. You ain't doing that. Man, can you imagine him being in Oakland instead of – because, I remember. So one of the biggest things that Elway didn't have up until the mid-'90s teams was he didn't have a great wide receiver. Now he would have gotten Tim Brown. Can you imagine him with Tim Brown?
Not only that, he would have had – not only that, if he would have went at the Oakland Raiders in the 80s, he would have had Cliff Branch and Todd Christensen coming off the gate. And he would have had Marcus Allen.
Yeah.
Good God.
And he would have had Marcus Allen. Bo Jackson
changed Bo Jackson's career trajectory. The amount of effect that this has.
Yeah. So
Elway not going to Oakland.
So Oakland that would have turned, because that's why Pete Rozelle didn't want him to go, because guess what? You already had Marcus Allen there, who was already a Super Bowl MVP already. And guess what? You add one of the best quarterbacks coming out of the draft.
Arguably the greatest quarterback prospect ever.
Yeah.
So I want to look at the 1983 Oakland Raiders roster.
Oh, they was fresh off the Super Bowl. To my knowledge, I would say.
Good God.
Yeah, they had a little bit of
Jim Plunkett, Marcus Allen, Cliff Branch, Todd Christensen. Yeah.
Yeah. Then that defense wasn't
he had 2,935 yards total yards from scrimmage. Oh, no, that's Jim Plunkett. Sorry. He rushed for over 1,000 yards and had almost 600 yards receiving that year. And then when was Tim Brown drafted? 88?
Yeah, the 88. Well, he probably might not get drafted at 88 so high because they would have been winning during that time. So, yeah, he might not go. He might not end up going to the Raiders. So, but they would have had the thing that the Oakland Raiders was missing back then was a quarterback, because after Jim Plunkett retired, they did not have a quarterback.
Well, they drafted Todd Marinovich. He ended
up Marinovich.
Yeah, he ended up being too much into the powder, so that was a bad thing. But
he was on the hard stuff too.
Oh yeah.
I just thought he was on them funny looking cigarettes.
No. He liked the nose candy a lot.
Oh, okay.
You got to remember that was that era.
Okay.
No, 80s was
because I remember old Big Jason used to call him Todd Marijuanovich, so I just thought he was on the thought he was on the funny looking cigarettes. So he's called Todd Marijuanovich. So I'm like, oh yeah, he was just on the funny. He smoked his way out the league. So I didn't know he was on. I didn't know he was on the hard. I didn't know he was on the rock candy. So yeah, I didn't know.
I'm just thinking right now. Can you imagine John Elway with Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen?
I couldn't imagine that.
You saw what he did. You saw what he did. You saw what he did in Denver late in his career when he got prime Terrell Davis. Jesus.
Yeah.
Hey, and you got to imagine. Look, remember Charles Barkley almost looked to the Lakers in the early 90s.
Yeah,
because they were going to trade James Worthy. Remember, James Worthy retired a couple years after that.
Jordan almost going to the Knicks.
Yeah, they matched him at the 12th hour.
Yep, that almost had that. Oh,
yeah. Can you imagine Michael Jordan in New York? Because they matched them at the very top of the hour, and they drove the price up for I think it was $33 million.
Yep.
Yes, they drove the price up at the last hour. That was crazy.
This close to going to the Knicks.
Yeah. So
Kobe going to Chicago.
He had found a house in Chicago. He was about to dip.
That was pre-Pau Gasol. That was like after Shaq and when the Lakers were just kind of floundering.
Yeah.
And he was close to going to Chicago.
Yeah. No, he was close to going to Chicago right before Shaq got traded. But he was about to get traded to the Pistons.
Yeah, that's right. He was about to go to Chicago, and Shaq getting traded. Shaq getting traded. Shaq getting traded was the key to him staying.
I thought Kobe almost went to Chicago a second time then because
he was about to get traded to Detroit because we was about to get Rick Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, and I think one of the other guys. We was about to get Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, and I think one of the forwards that they had. I think it was Corliss Williams or one of those guys. Because they weren't gonna give us because Ben Wallace was long gone by then. But yeah, they was gonna give us one of those guys. But it was supposed to be Rip Hamilton, Johnson Billups, and another guy. And the reason why he asked to trade because he was like, I'm just gonna be in a worse situation than I am now. At least I'm in the playoffs. So it's just like, and I was like, all right, I'll give y'all a chance. But him going to Chicago, that would have been kind of crazy because him and Jerry Krause.
Dude, I here's the other one. I still guarantee. I think LeBron and Wade go to the Knicks if it's not for James Dolan. I don't think they go to Miami. I think James Dolan was such a piece of garbage that because they met with them and they were like, yeah, no. And then I think they almost went to Chicago too.
Yeah, they almost went to Chicago. It was really what people don't know this. But the original deal, the original big three was supposed to be LeBron, Melo, and Wade.
Yep.
It wasn't Bosh.
Yeah.
But
dumbass
Carmelo signed his contract too early with the Denver Nuggets. He didn't want to give up that money.
Yeah.
So, that's what.
Well, it's the banana boat theory. Or is that Chris Paul?
That's Chris Paul. But
I thought that was the original.
Melo's part of that too.
Yeah, but I'm not. He was not part of the team that was going to be in Chicago.
Oh,
yeah. It was supposed to be Melo, Wade, and it was supposed to be Melo, Wade, and LeBron. That's who it was supposed to be. But Carmelo signed his contract a year too early, and he couldn't opt out, so he was stuck in limbo with the Denver Nuggets. So that's why that ended up occurring.
Going back to the Luka trade for a second, Do you guys think so? My opinion right now, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about why the NBA is kind of suffering when it comes to ratings. Normally, the Lakers would be the villain in this story, and I don't think they're the villain in this story.
I don't think there are no good guys in this story.
That's true, but the NBA is at its peak when there's a villain. You go back to when the Heat were formed and how much of a villain they were. Golden State, like everybody likes to see a king fall. It's the thing, and now you don't have a king. And I thought when I first heard this that this would make the Lakers the villain again. And I think everybody loves Lucas so much. I don't think this makes them the villain.
To be honest with you, unlike the Cowboys, although and I'm a Laker fan, we are an obnoxious bunch. I come to Atlanta Hawks fans don't like us, BRF. That's how
I can't. Like I said, I don't really have biases. I'll say this: the only biases that I have towards fans are New Orleans Saints fans. But I digress.
The Aints fans, but
I hate Eagles fans.
But I'll say this: I don't think that they are the villain is because it's a lot of we're essentially the Cowboys of the NBA. This was a shocker. And that's why I don't think we're the villains, because the whole thing, if this hadn't happened, you was just going to hear a whole bunch of innuendos about Jimmy Butler on what the Lakers were going to do. That's what you was going to hear. And it's just like, that's what we expected. And I went on PSP's podcast, said the same thing. I was like, man, you finna hear a whole bunch of innuendos about what the hell we gonna do. We ain't gonna do a damn thing. It's just after All-Star break, we gonna end up a 5th seed. We're gonna get like the first, maybe the second round, and we gonna be up out of there. But for this to happen,
remember you said that too.
Yeah, I really didn't think it was gonna happen. Before that trade happened, the only thing that I was saying is like, you finna hear a bunch of freaking rumors about Jimmy Butler and him going to the Lakers and the Lakers potential and all this other bullshit. And I never forget. I'm like, you know what? They ain't finna bust a grape. But when that came out, I was like, wow, okay, they ain't playing. So I don't think the Lakers are the villain. I don't think the Lakers ever was the villain, if you really want me to be honest with you. I really think even when, other than during the Showtime era, I don't think we ever was the villains of the NBA. Even the whole Kobe and Shaq thing, I don't ever think we was the villain. We were fighting amongst each other, but I don't think we was ever the villains of the NBA because
with the Kobe Shaq thing, I don't think y'all necessarily were the villain. I think it was more on the lines of how long they're gonna be able to keep this going.
Yeah, how long you gonna be able to keep this going? It's just like these dudes do not get along. It's like
they don't get along at all. How long they gonna be able to keep this up before one of them just have to go?
Before one of either one of them beat the shit out of each other. That's another
that too.
It's kind of like them two guys that work together at work, and you just know them dudes don't get along, and everything's more efficient when they work together. But one on one, they go haul off and beat one of them. So that's just how that whole situation. But I don't ever think outside of Boston and the Northeast, I don't think the Lakers was ever the villains of the NBA. Outside of Boston,
I can see that.
Somebody that lives in the Midwest, that typically everybody in the Midwest hate the coast teams.
Really?
East or West. The Lakers are like, maybe you're right. Maybe they're not the villains, but there is a lot of hate in the aspect when it comes to like, because you always hear the one guy, who are your favorite teams? Well, it's the Cowboys, the Lakers, and the North Carolina Tar Heels, and you're just like,
bandwagon much?
Yeah, and it's just like, and I think there's that part of it. I do think there is some Lakers hate when it comes to getting superstars like this. I think there's legit hate. In fact, I was seeing reports of even GMs that were just like, what the, like, this is, and
hey, when you're able to put, if somebody, look, I'm going to just be real. If somebody is dumb enough to give me their greatest player, if you're dumb enough to do that, I'm gonna take him.
I don't blame.
And that goes for Kareem.
Phone call. I don't blame him. I think
that goes for Kareem and everybody. Because remember, we got to trade. We didn't draft Kareem. He got traded to us. So
yeah, I know, from Milwaukee.
Yeah, and so if you're dumb enough to trade me your greatest, and remember Wilt Chamberlain, he got traded to us. So if you're dumb enough to trade me your greatest asset,
now Kareem wanted to leave. He hated Milwaukee, so that's a little different. I don't think Wilt wanted to leave Philly though, did he?
Yeah, they promised him a piece of ownership on the team, and they didn't give it to him. So he said, "Y'all can stick it." Yeah, they promised him a piece of ownership. Plus, his coach, I think John Hanna was no longer the coach when he went back to Philly. So he was like, "Nah, I ain't staying here without my coach." So yeah, it was kind of like a whole Phil Jackson and a whole nother situation, a whole like Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan situation. His coach wasn't there. He didn't give me a piece of ownership. Like I think it was like 10% of the ownership he wanted, but they didn't give it to him. But let's get into real quick, so we can finish this segment real quick. Who made the best trade, the Lakers or the Spurs?
The best trade is obvious. The best trade is obviously the Lakers.
Yeah.
The best trade is obviously the Lakers. You got Luka Doncic. Nothing from a value perspective beats out acquiring Luka Doncic.
No.
My favorite trade was San Antonio acquiring De'Aaron Fox. That was my favorite trade of the entire trade deadline, because De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama should feed families for years to come. I love that duo being together. And I think the best part about that deal was that San Antonio didn't have to give up Stephon Castle. They did not have to give up Stephon Castle for that. They were about to, but it was De'Aaron Fox. I was like, I want to play with him. So Kings just ultimately got draft picks. So it's like, I think the San Antonio Spurs should make the playoffs adding De'Aaron Fox to this roster. Because he's arguably he's a top 10. He's a top 10 point guard in the league. You add him to Victor Wembanyama, who's already like staking his claim to being the top 10 player in the world. So it's like the defense is there, and you still have the young core. You still have Vassell. You still have Keldon Johnson. You didn't have to trade Stephon Castle. Chris Paul at his age still is playing good basketball. So it's, and you got Jeremy Sohan when he comes back. He gives you another body that can play defense, that can give you some interior scoring and some shooting. So the San Antonio Spurs have just quietly built a good roster, and then adding De'Aaron Fox. That, like I said, that's probably my favorite trade, just because San Antonio did something like that's going to better them now into the future and possibly get them into the playoffs this year and building for the future. Because let's face it, man, De'Aaron Fox is still a young cat, and then you put him with Victor Wembanyama. Man, I'm telling you, the pick and rolls and the lobs with those two, it's gonna be something serious. It is gonna be something serious. So the Spurs made my favorite trade at the deadline.
Quick question. I got a quick question before Flash goes. Do y'all see, between Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and Wemby, do y'all see some potential for them to be like Manu, Parker, and Duncan was? Do y'all see the potential there?
It's the X factor there is the growth of Stephon Castle and what he turns into. We know what De'Aaron Fox is. Yeah. We're already seeing what Victor Wembanyama is. He's a unicorn. He's generational.
I do got a question. Do we really know what Fox is? And the reason why I ask is now he's under Pop and a well-run franchise and organization. Does he take a level up now?
I think, you know what? You make a good point there. I think it does level up.
Because the Kings are one of the stupidest. You can't talk about stupid franchises. Like, they're up there.
I think he does take a level up, but I don't. My thing is though, like I said, even being in Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox is already a top 10 point guard in the league. So
yeah, I agree.
So I mean, so the level up is like possibly turning into a top 5, possibly a top 5 point guard in the league. So
being with Wemby though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel, exactly. So I think there's still a little more for him to level up with as far as his talent goes, because we know how good he already is. Yeah, so it's exactly, yeah. So it's just, yeah. I think being in San Antonio with that structure and that organization, I definitely think he becomes an even better player than he already is. And then, like I said, giving him to Victor Wembanyama. Like I said, the growth, it's like I said, I think Stephon Castle to me is the X factor, because he's like the rawest, but the ceiling there is like it's a really high ceiling, because he's already a pretty damn good defender. So if the offense ultimately catches up to what his defense already is, there's potential. There's potential there, man. You got to give it to the San Antonio Spurs organization, boy. They know how to find them.
Like I said, it's a good, stable, well-run organization. So I don't know who made the best trade, but I also look at the trade that to me didn't make any sense. Why did the Golden State Warriors trade for Jimmy Butler? I don't get it.
You did all of that just to lose in the play-in.
I don't understand it. Like, one, I wouldn't touch Jimmy Butler with a 10-foot pole now. When he's been acting a fool lately. And if you're Golden State, man, like if you're going to trade Wiggins and trade, man, but obviously the best trade, like what BRF said is when you get a generational 25-year-old talent, like for, a bag of chips and Anthony Davis, you had the best trade. There's a lot of people, or some people in Milwaukee, complaining about the trade for Kuzma, and getting rid of Middleton. Look, I don't think it's that bad of a trade. I think it's the Bucks get a little younger, which they needed to. Kuzma's only 29. He's a good overall, player in general, offense, defense. I think it'll benefit the Bucks. I'm afraid, though, that I think Giannis is gone at some point. But I don't mind the trade. Something had to be done. And I think they needed to get younger, and I don't mind the trade at all.
Update. We got more breaking news.
To make sure the Chiefs dynasty doesn't go any farther. There's a meteor.
Tom Brady ain't selling his share of the Vegas Raiders. You know better than that.
There's a meteor set to hit the Super Bowl stadium so then we don't have to. Okay, never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
But it's Super Bowl related. It's kind of Super Bowl related. Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is set to become the new head coach of the New Orleans Saints.
Wow.
They finally got a coach. Moving on.
Okay.
Quick. Got to make this one quick, guys. We got 30 seconds apiece. If Bron wins with Luka in Los Angeles, does that restart the GOAT convo?
No.
Okay.
No.
Man, look. He says no. The convo ain't never stopped because it's going. It's never stopped. I mean, it's never stopped. So I can't really say it's not restarted because it ain't stopped.
Never has been, never should have been a conversation in the first place.
No, you can make a little bit of a convo.
30 seconds, guys.
I think Jordan's the GOAT, but you can make a convo.
30 seconds, guys. We gotta move.
That's why I'm shaking my head no. I'm biting my lip. I'm doing the Mike Tyson.
I mean, it ain't gonna change my mind, but go continue.
Yeah, same here.
Gotta keep it. Okay. All right. This is the game. The game. Not just a game, the game. This is the granddaddy of them all in the NFL. So I gotta ask this. I'm gonna go first in this. Who do y'all got in the Super Bowl? I'm gonna go first. And I'm gonna answer both segments in one sitting because the next segment is Super Bowl MVP prediction. So I'm gonna answer who is my Super Bowl pick and my Super Bowl prediction in the same sitting. You know, let's do it that way. So the Philadelphia Eagles will win the game. They will win the game. Saquon will go for 135 yards and at least 2 touchdowns on the ground. He will be the Super Bowl MVP. That is my prediction. Whoever else wants to go next. Who is your Super Bowl prediction and who is your MVP prediction?
This is the BRF. You go first because
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. It's playoff time. I'm not betting against 15. I'm not doing it. I don't care who they playing against. I'm not doing it. The Kansas City Chiefs are winning this game, and Patrick Mahomes is getting Super Bowl MVP number 3. So. No, this will be number. I think this will be number 4 for him because he's won them all. This actually be number 4. So, no, I'm not betting against 15 in a game. I'm not doing it. Not in the playoffs. I got Kansas City winning, and I got Patrick Mahomes winning another Super Bowl MVP.
I just want to say that this is probably the first Super Bowl in my lifetime, besides maybe the Bears and the Colts in 06. Where I really don't want to watch the game.
Damn.
I don't. There's nothing likable about either of these teams except for say. Oh, I should take that back. If the Eagles didn't have their fans, the Eagles would be an actual likable team because of Barkley and a couple other players. But there's nothing likable. I don't want either team to win this Super Bowl. I don't. I hate the Chiefs, and there's rumors that Travis Kelce's going to propose to Taylor Swift. If that happens, I'm turning it off, and I'm just done. I'm done.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you, bro. I'm not laughing.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, if that shit happens during the Super Bowl, I will not watch. I will, in protest, will not watch the NFL for a year. If
Damn, now you protesting, ain't that?
Oh, dude,
you gotta know, Flash, to know why I'm messing with about the
dude. I tell you right now, I don't.
Damn.
I never thought about actually watching football. I never thought about it. Football is one of the biggest loves in my life. But if Travis Kelce proposes to Taylor Swift during the Super Bowl, dude, you want to talk about slaughtering baby seals and that kind of feeling that you have like that, dude.
Oh man,
dude.
Damn, a Republican protesting, ain't that some shit?
Wow.
Moving on. No, move, push.
Wow. I just want to say
push.
I was never the guy that was wanting to protest the league because I thought it was the most ridiculous.
I had the best with you too.
Any conservative that was going to go protest the league because some dude decided to take a knee in the national anthem, whether I agreed with him taking the knee or not, is the stupidest shit ever. And every time I heard somebody say, like, I'm not watching the football because blah, 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 because this dude took a knee, I
had the best.
You know what? Right now, I don't appreciate being in the middle of the Oreo right now. I just don't. This is not comfortable right now,
bro. Not to mention the days they get calling Josh Allen the whole damn time. But that's a whole other story for another day. Like, damn, bro, y'all really? That's how y'all.
Ooh, boy. Zing.
Okay. So I'm just going to echo what BRF said. It's going to be the Chiefs, just like we said a couple weeks ago with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be the Chiefs. Mahomes going to win another Super Bowl, and then I'm going to have to hear the asinine talk that Mahomes is better than Brady, and I'm just going to, and I on top of the fact that because I just want to say, when I had my party for the Royal Rumble, I as a Patriot fan and Tom Brady lover, I appreciate that the hate is so deep for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's making people miss the New England Patriots. That's how much people hate Kansas City. I'm not wrong.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Look, for me, I don't understand the hate of dynasties. I don't.
This is different. This. I'll tell you right, because I asked. I had like 20 people at the house, and I asked almost everybody. Okay, and everybody at that house hates the Patriots. That besides me, obviously. Yeah. And I said, "What's the difference? Why do you hate the Chiefs?" Because there's always the recency bias, and I'm like, okay, give me I want a valid reason on why you hate the Chiefs more than you hated the Patriots dynasty. And here's the reason that was given most often is that it looks like the league wants them to win and massages that. Whereas the Patriots, it seemed like they did everything they could to make the Patriots not win. And they did it anyways.
Yeah, because y'all were at one point the Oakland Raiders of the damn league. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
So
they did not like y'all.
No, so I think the hate and Taylor Swift, it just adds to it. But I think the hate is it looks like the league is like handing it to them.
It's kind of like, and I hate to make this comparison, but I'm not a biased sports fan, so I have to make this comparison. You remember when David Stern, God rest his soul, by the way, remember when he was asked in 2002, I think it was either 2002 or 2003, who would you like to see in the finals? And they said, he said, I would love to see the Lakers versus the Lakers.
Yep.
And everybody thinks that was the reason why a lot of those bad calls were made in I think it was game 6 in the Western Conference Finals.
And the Eastern Conference Finals I watched with Philly and Milwaukee.
Yeah. So
yep.
So I mean, I think that's how to your point earlier, it took me a while to think about that, back then, even though we knew it was the refs kind of, sticking it to them. And, come to find out, I think it was Bill Donahue or whatever his name was. And come to find out it was him. But yeah, people resented it for a while, but that was
people hate dynasties, but they can appreciate at some point. Like, I'll give you an example. As a Packer fan, as somebody who grew up in grew up in Wisconsin, big Packer fan, I hated the 90s Dallas Cowboys.
I don't understand the hate for dynasties, though.
But look at the moment, because they ruined my seasons as a Packer fan. But I look back on it now going, damn, those teams were really good. Honestly, I look back on dynasties now. Like, I look back at the Jeter Yankees.
Yeah.
And I just but I look at them back with like more respect than I do hate. But this Chiefs thing is different. It is like the Lakers. It is like the David Stern. Yeah, I want the Lakers. It just feels massaged. Bill Burr said it a week ago in an interview on, I think it was on Fallon or somebody, or Conan or something like that. It doesn't feel rigged, but it feels massaged.
Yeah,
it's a really bad analogy to use right now, considering Justin Tucker, but we'll just leave that alone.
Lord have mercy. And I thought you thought I was bad. Anyway. That's why I call you the Pat McAfee of the show.
Boy, I about said something. I about said something, but I'm gonna keep it to myself.
No, I'm just the sweet part of the Oreo, and I just sit here and just enjoy my time.
Because I got I wanted to say something, but I'm gonna keep it to myself. Damn,
I can't get my words out. But it does feel massaged a little bit, that red light special. But I'm not gonna lie. It seems like I'm not gonna lie. When you think about the Patriots, it seems like with them, they were the lovable team at first.
Yeah.
You had the underdog quarterback who was drafted in the 6th round coming into a team that really, everybody knew Drew was the man. He had already gone to a Super Bowl. And, him coming out of nowhere, beating the greatest offense of all time. I mean, then him going to that next Super Bowl, beating one of the greatest defensive lines of all time in Mike Rucker, Chris Jenkins, Brinson Buckner, shout out to Columbus, Georgia. Brinson Buckner is from Columbus, Georgia, and Julius Peppers. So then him going out beating T.O. and Donovan McNabb. I think people, look, here's my thing. And before we move to the next segment, I think that they hated that dynasty because my team just can't seem to beat them. I think that was I think that was the main I think that was organic hate. I mean, because it's just like and I hate to keep bringing this up, but it's the kind of hate I feel for the Yankees. Like you cost me my 4 World Series.
Yeah,
I would never let that go. And I think that's the reason why they hated the Patriots. For the Chiefs, it's for a lot of reasons. It's not just, my team can't beat you. It's kind of like you're a wrestling fan and this guy keeps getting shoved down your throat and you really don't want to cheer for him, but it's just like because because this guy's marketing, a marketing man's genius.
Dude,
that. I think it's because of that as well. And I don't think the hardcore fan likes that.
No,
like the Patriots hate, the Cowboys hate, it was just because my team can't beat you.
It's just pure sports.
This one, it's just like the NFL is trying to shove them down our throats. And that's the whole thing.
And when I turn on a sports network and I got to hear about Taylor Swift and Blake Lively, and Blake Lively's not allowed to sit with her in her suite, dude, I don't give a flying
fuck.
Curbing my language right now. I do not. Why is that on football news? Why?
Who is Blake Lively?
Blake Lively is
Ryan Reynolds'
wife. She's a big time actress, and there's a huge lawsuit. The fact that we're talking about this on the sports show right now, oh my god, there's a huge lawsuit right now with her, Ryan Reynolds, about a movie that they made, and basically she did an Amber Heard. That's what's going on right now. She did an Amber Heard, lied about a bunch of essay stuff, and Ryan Reynolds and her look like the evil couple from hell. And there's the person that it just anyways. So that's why
I didn't even know who Blake Lively was. I didn't even know who that was.
And Taylor Swift and Blake Lively are best friends. And now Taylor Swift doesn't want Blake Lively sitting with her in her Super Bowl suite because she feels like she was misled by Blake Lively. It's just terrible. It's just awful that we have to. Friendship is just torn apart, and I just want to watch football.
All right, I'll say this real quick before we move on, and I got like another analogy. It's like basically it's like with the Patriots. Yeah, it's like what you said, champ. With the Patriots, it's like, man, we just can't beat these dudes.
Yeah.
With the Chiefs, it's like we can beat you. We can beat you, but we know somehow, some way, the referee's gonna find a way.
Yeah, it's just like you're already that good, and it just seems like there's always again, it's the last Super Bowl between them and Philly. that call at the end of the game with the pass interference or whatever it was, and I'm just, or the holding, and I'm just, and it was like, dude, against the Bengals 2 years ago in the AFC title game, and it like it just sitting there. I made a TikTok video about it. That if the NFL, if this is the route they're going to go, like you're going to get people thinking this is rigged. I could pull it up. I said against the Browns, same thing. And this is like I don't know. I don't know. I actually only want to watch the Super Bowl for political reasons right now. Like, I don't even want to watch it because I don't. I only want to, I literally, no joke, only want to watch the Super Bowl right now because Musk apparently spent like 40 mil and is just going to like drop all the information during Super Bowl commercials that they've been digging around on. That's the only thing. That's the only reason why I want to watch Super Bowl now. I don't. This Super Bowl just feels gross to me. It just feels, even though I love Saquon Barkley and what he's done, and I honestly, like, as much as I love Josh Allen winning the MVP, like looking at what he's done this year, but Barkley should have been, I don't know, but it would have been deserving for any of those three guys. I don't want to get into that discussion either. I just, this Super Bowl and this matchup makes me feel gross.
Do you think that's why? And I know a lot of people have been saying this, and I know I'm not the only one thinking this. I know we're blaming the NBA deadline, the trade deadline, for really completely taking over the headline. But the reasons that you said about the NFL and why it hasn't, usually when the Super Bowl comes, it's like Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's just like the big payoff, the big present is on Sunday. Whether it's a good game or a bad game, because, you know, you got the Super Bowl parties, the Super Bowl commercial. Do you think that because of all of that, you know, that you just stated, that there's not the hype that it normally is for the Super Bowl? I'm not talking about with the news networks. I'm talking about with the people, with the fans.
I think people. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, guys.
I'll just make it quick because I think people genuinely don't want to watch this game. I think it's a genuine thing. I think, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, we've had the NBA trade deadline, and we've had, like, I didn't even think about the Super Bowl really until today. Like, you had the Royal Rumble, which created a lot of news. Then you had the Luka trade and the whole NBA trade deadline. And I think people don't want to watch this game. There's nothing to like about this game if you're just a football fan. Like, I don't like even Philly winning. There is legit hate for as much as people hate the Chiefs as a franchise. People hate Philly fans, the Eagles fans. Like, they're not like they're known for being like just terrible people. And I think that's the other part of it too. I don't know. What do you think, BRF?
Honestly, I feel like this is one of those where it was like, even though Detroit was the number one seed, everybody kind of felt like this was the matchup we were going to get, which was ultimately why it was like, you know, the matchup nobody wants is Kansas City Philly, because everybody kind of had a feeling it was going to this was what the matchup was going to be. And I don't know, I guess it kind of has if I can use an analogy to like the NBA with the Warriors and the Cavs those years, it kind of has that feel.
Yeah.
In a sense, like we knew we don't want it to happen, but it's probably going to happen. But the only thing about it is, even though it happened, people are still going to watch because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the Super Bowl. I mean, this is for the Super Bowl championship. It's for the world title. So people are still going to watch. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, you know, Flash pretty much kind of nailed everything. Like the narratives, like with the Kansas City Chiefs and how they've basically been like kind of like crowd surfed into this game, kind of with like all of the like the voodoo magic they got going on with these just miraculous calls that they just get in their favor almost like every time at a critical moment in every game.
Yeah.
And then like you said, with the Philadelphia Eagles fans, it's not all Philadelphia Eagles fans. Shout out to Broad. It's not all Eagles fans, but a lot of them just they rub you the wrong way. And it's like a quick example before we move on, like, the fans that want to support and like hold on to Jalen Hurts and all this other stuff, like y'all wanted him traded a couple years ago. Y'all wanted him traded, and it took y'all getting AJ Brown and him being able to level his game up because he finally had a bona fide legit number one receiver. It took him leveling up his game for y'all to shut up about wanting him traded.
Not to mention, they wanted to get rid of Nick Sirianni too.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's like, and I get it. They're fans, When you see the winning, the tone's gonna change. But even still, it's like,
it's not even that stuff that bothers me. That's like typical fans stupidity.
Yeah, that's typical fan stuff.
It's more of the shooting guns off when you've won. It's like literally physically beating up like opposing team fans when you're at
the destruction of property after you win and stuff like that.
The literally when the Packers were just there, somebody from Philly that was there was just dude, the language made me feel like Jesus would accept the language that I have that was spewed at this woman, and the guy ended up losing his job because it was so horrific. Like there is no, like, they're just, again, not all. You're right, BRF, not all. But they're just, and it's weird. It's not Sixers fans. It's not even Philly fans, the Phillies. Like, I actually like their fan base.
I've grown to like them a little more than normal.
Yes. It's just Eagle fans. I don't know why. I don't get, and this has been going on for years. They cheered when Michael Irvin almost broke his neck. They, again, I remember when the 4th and 26 years, that was 2004.
Yeah.
When Green Bay went to Philly.
No, the 4th and 26, that was that 2004? I believe it was.
It was either 2003 or 2004 ish.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the local news and them telling us, if you're going to Philly to go to the game, you need to travel in groups because the Philly fans are so violent. Like, if they will just torment you. That happened with, did you see the dude, the one dude walk, the Commanders fan, the Washington fan that was walking around, and there was a horde of Eagle fans just berating him and then stealing his hat and just, dude, I'm telling you, I'm waiting and I'm hoping, this sounds awful, that one of those Philly fans just like says the wrong thing to the wrong person. And I'm telling you, and somebody just pops on. It's just like, they're bad people. So you combo with that, with the Chiefs. Give me a reason to watch this game as a football fan.
Oh, there's plenty of reasons to watch it as a football fan. There's plenty of reason to watch it as a football fan. It's just that those outside factors just don't help.
You know what? I think, and I believe, I don't think it's an outside factor. I think we're paying too much attention to it. I just want to see football.
Me too.
I want to see football. And my thing is, I'm just so happy to be able to live to see another Super Bowl and see these two young men in the Super Bowl, because when I used to watch Alabama, I didn't think Jalen Hurts would be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I knew that he would probably I thought that he would probably be a backup. But when he was and let me preface by saying this, when he was in Alabama, his early years in Alabama, although he was going to national championship, I did not see him as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I thought he was strictly a project quarterback until Lincoln Riley got a hold of him and turned him into something special. And, you know, if there was anybody that needs to thank Lincoln Riley for what they did for him, it's Jalen Hurts, because when he was at Alabama, he was not the Jalen Hurts that he was at Oklahoma. So to see him and the way he's risen up in order to be as good as he is, although he gets a lot of hate, that's nothing short of spectacular. So, man, I'm glad to see that Patrick, somebody, look, although I would hate to see it, because like I said, I'm still kind of holding on to nostalgia because Joe Montana is my GOAT. He, like I said, he's my GOAT. And, you know, Tom Brady, in my humble opinion, is the undisputed GOAT. There's no disputing about it. He is the GOAT, undisputed. So I don't want these unnecessary conversations to be happening. That's why I because the thing is, like I said in the earlier video, I think me and PSP, I think I did on PSP's channel. Until you start, look, there's no one in the world that has done what Tom Brady has done.
For the length that he did it.
He won 7. And he didn't do it. And for people who keep saying, well, he's the Bill Russell of the NFL. No, the NFL already has a Bill Russell. His name was Otto Graham. And if you don't know who Otto Graham is, shame on you. Go do your history as a football savant. Bill Russell of the NFL was Otto Graham back during the late 50s and the late 40s. So stop with that whole talk. Tom Brady did not win during the Mesozoic Jurassic age of football. He won in the modern day age. Matter of fact, he's only been retired 2 years.
Yep.
He beat the greatest teams of all time. He beat the greatest show on turf. He beat my Atlanta Falcons, who set records during that offensive year. He beat the Legion of Boom that was on their way to be a dynasty.
Mm-hmm. By the way,
So,
is the only, and besides Joe Burrow, is the only one that's actually taken out Mahomes. So we've already seen this matchup already.
Yes, we've seen that. We don't have to. It's not. We don't have to wonder. What if Mike Tyson? This is not one of those situations where we have to wonder. Well, what if Mike Tyson could have faced Muhammad Ali? Well, you know, Muhammad Ali already faced Tyson, and Tyson lost. So
well, yeah. This isn't like a LeBron Jordan thing, where we're never going to get to see them play. No. And I also want to add to the whole, like, before everybody gets their cute little Mahomes hats on and starts talking about he's the GOAT. I also want to point out that Tom Brady literally did this during the golden age of quarterbacks. Half of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time, at least, played during his era, and he dominated all of them. Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees.
Not to mention, throw Phillip Rivers in there as well.
Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah. Matt Ryan never beat him.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, Matt Ryan. So, and no offense right now to the rest of the league besides Mahomes, Josh Allen doesn't sniff that. Lamar Jackson doesn't sniff that. I love Joey B, but he doesn't sniff, none of these guys sniff the top 10 of all time. So, and I just want to, so when people start, if the Chiefs win tomorrow, and the conversations start getting cute, I just want we've already seen what happens when. Oh, and by the way, Brady went into Kansas City with the worst Patriot team he probably had the year they won their last Super Bowl there, and beat the Chiefs at home. So with a team with a broken Gronk, and literally all he had was Edelman and a running game. So, and that's when the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, in their primes. So, again, when everybody gets cute tomorrow, I don't want to hear it. In fact, I won't even in your argument, because I don't think you are a serious sports person.
And like I said earlier, they talk about a three-peat has never been done before. Neither has 7 rings. And neither has not 1 but 2 dynasties. Then on top of that, you go to the Tampa Bay Bucks your first year and you win a Super Bowl. And you should have won an MVP down there, but they gave it to Rodgers.
Yep.
So my thing is, he had not 1, not 2, but 3 Hall of Fame careers. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like I said, I think that Tom Brady did not play in the Mesozoic era of football. The Bill Russell of the NFL is Otto Graham. Right now, Tom Brady is the Michael Jordan of the NFL. So even if he three-peats tomorrow, guess what? Tom Brady's still the undisputed GOAT, because the argument is going to be made, well, Brady never three-peated. Well, ain't nobody ever won 7 rings before. No quarterback in history ever had 2 separate dynasties before.
Tom Brady had, real quick before you go, Flash, Tom Brady had 2 whole Hall of Fame careers.
Arguably 3.
Well, I include the Tampa run with the second half as far as like New England. So for me it's 2 whole Hall of Fame careers.
I agree. I also want to point out, like, and don't get me wrong, this is not a knock on Bill Belichick when I say this, but name one great offensive mind that Brady had as a coach.
He didn't. Because they were good as coordinators. They were good as coordinators, not necessarily good as head coaches. And that's how your brilliance comes to mind. But I mean, and you really got to wonder, hell, and it showed. It showed that, hey, he made the system. The system didn't necessarily make him.
Yeah, and that's exactly.
And, I always make the argument that things were taken away from Patrick Mahomes when you talk about this era. You got to think about this. I tell people this all the time. Outside of Corey Dillon on the offensive side of the ball in the early days in that New England team, there was no skill position players that, that was just like household names. There's no Hall of Famers on that offensive side of the ball.
No. He didn't get a Hall of Famer until Randy Moss.
Well, Corey Dillon. So
I'm talking about at the wide receiver to tight end.
Like, and then the thing was,
go ahead. Sorry.
He was winning with no-name wide receivers, and until he got Corey Dillon in 2004, he didn't have nobody at the running back position except for Kevin Falk that was really going to just take over a game. Like, they used to call him clock killing Dillon for a reason.
Kevin Falk was just literally a third down back. I love Kevin Falk. I love Troy Brown. Like, I love David Gibbons. But those dudes were like, Troy Brown's a Patriot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's not no
guy. League Hall of Fame. Like, he doesn't even come close. So, like, I mean, he didn't start getting talent around him. That was the thing. That was the argument, is wait until he gets talent. And then he started getting, because everybody's like, who's better, Manning or him? Manning's got the stats, Brady's got the rings. And the people that were in Brady's corners, like, give him talent. And look what happened. And look what happened.
Yeah, they gave him Randy Moss. He was in the record books instantly. So, yeah. And the thing was, him and Randy Moss was only together 3 years.
Yeah.
That's the stat.
And Brady was hurt for one of them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, let's stop. I mean, I understand everybody's gonna want to put Patrick Mahomes into these GOAT conversations, but I think he will. I think if he three-peats tomorrow, he surpasses Joe. I think he surpasses Joe if he three-peats, but I don't think he surpasses Brady. I can't be biased. Joe's my GOAT, but I think he surpasses Joe. I think he passes Joe. And I don't think that Bill Russell era is valid for Tom Brady again, because Tom Brady played during the best years of the NFL. Last 20 years were some of the best years and some of the best teams you ever money could buy as far as the NFL. So he played during the prime era of the NFL. So you can't make that argument. He didn't play in the Mesozoic age.
So why does so he would equal Montana in rings with 4, correct? Mm-hmm. Tomorrow.
Yeah, 2 MVPs, and then he had the same amount of MVPs as well.
Why does he surpass Joe?
He surpasses Joe because, and like I said, he surpasses Joe because he did something that Joe fell short of. That's number one. The three-peat, because he was 1 tackle away from a because I believe truly if Joe wouldn't have got injured and they would have made it to their Super Bowl, they'd have beat the brakes off the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I saw
they'd have beat the brakes off the Buffalo Bills.
I think that would have been a horrible matchup.
They'd have beat the crap out of them and been beat them for crapping. Yeah. That's how. And
if Joe doesn't get hurt, and even if Roger Craig doesn't fumble the football,
yeah,
and Steve Young starts, I still think San Francisco can win that game.
Yeah, so they'd have beat the hell out of the Buffalo Bills. So Buffalo need to be thinking the New York Giants, although they lost for beating San Francisco before they got to them. So but I digress. But I think that doing something in this era that means something. During the salary cap era where you're basically losing a lot of guys, and he did it without Tyreek Hill, without Eric Bieniemy, without a lot of those guys as well. So to do something like that to make history and submit your stuff, I think that will put him past Joe Montana. I think that will put him past that one. Now, granted, I think the reason why I always say Joe Montana is my GOAT is because I think that out of every quarterback in any era, he faced the best defenses that money can buy. I know everybody wants to put, well, which quarterback did he face? As a quarterback, you're not facing another quarterback is not across from you trying to outthrow you. You have these defenses out there trying to knock the hell out of you. So as far as why Joe Montana is my GOAT, is because he had one of the best defenses in NFL history, although they didn't win a Super Bowl in his division in the Dome Patrol. And you know how much I hate the Saints, but I got to give credit where credit is due. The Dome Patrol was one of the best defenses of all time. Then you had the Philadelphia Eagles. Then you had the New York Giants. Then you had the Minnesota Vikings. Then you had the Washington Commanders during that time. Then you had a whole plethora of defenses that money could buy during that. Oh yeah, don't forget about those Chicago teams during back then. So you had some of the best defenses money could buy, and those are just the big names. Those are not including the defenses that they was good for a couple of years and then fell off.
That's why I have a hard time putting him over Joe right now.
For real?
He wins tomorrow.
Even if he wins tomorrow?
Yeah. I didn't even put Brady over Joe until he won 5. I just didn't. And I love Brady. That dude was in my wedding vows. I'm not even exaggerating at all.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't put him over Joe until he won 5. And I just feel that what Mahomes has gone against, comparable to what you were saying right now, the defenses that Joe Montana went against. That's
fair.
I just do. Again, if he wins 5, sure. Then yeah. Do I think that there's a discussion maybe for number 2? Yeah. But, I'm really trying to take my hatred right now for them out of it. I'm very picky about who I put in GOAT status. You have to clear him or clear the person by leaps and bounds for me to replace a GOAT or somebody that was the GOAT and now isn't, but now is just number 2. You have to really clear them to get that taken away, because I feel like as a sports society, for lack of a better term, that conversation has become too commonplace and too flimsy. It's too anybody, and it's too much. I remember when my nephew from my marriage or whatever was arguing that Odell Beckham was just as good as Randy Moss, and I went, no, he's not. He's not even close. This is when Odell Beckham was still with the Giants, putting up numbers, making crazy catches. And I was just like, he is nowhere near Randy Moss, at all. Not even close. And again, I just think we live in a YouTube era of highlights, and we live in such we have no attention span that it's like the we ain't in the 90s or whatever movement. And it's
done with the 90s.
Yeah, we done with the 90s. No, you're not. You can talk all the crap you want. You're not. You can try meme it out and everything else. We're not done with the 90s, because you just can't ignore that. Life didn't just start when the internet did. And it just, again, the stupid, again, I just feel like if you're going to be the GOAT or pass somebody on the way there, you have to clear them. And Joe Montana at one point there was no argument as who the GOAT was pre-Brady. It was Montana, and then it was everybody else. And so I feel like you have to clear him completely.
BRS, what you think, man?
Well, I talked about it a little bit last night as far as like who I think are the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And this is just me speaking from my opinion, and I know people are going to agree with that, but to an extent, I respect the opinion. But honestly, I don't know. I just feel like Brady's. I mean, for me, Brady is still the GOAT, and it's like I said, when you look at his 2001, like when you look at his first half of his career and the second half of the career, and you put the numbers together in those 10-year stretches, I mean, almost 40,000 passing yards, 3 championships, all the division titles. And then the second part, another almost 40,000 yards, 4 more championships, like what, three total league MVPs. Just, I mean, look, I feel like this is where I'm going to defend Peyton Manning here. We as a society get so caught up in ring culture and how they perform in the postseason and the playoffs, and I get it, that has a factor and that has an important part in this. But at the same time, the reason why I still think Peyton Manning is the second greatest quarterback in the history of the league is because I feel like nobody peaked in the regular season like he did to get to a point to where you have a shot at the dance. Nobody peaked higher than him. I feel like nobody had a peak over a long stretch of their career higher than Peyton Manning. I mean, the dude literally set the touchdown record twice. 5 league MVPs. And then if you want to throw the rings out there, the fact that he did get 2 to go along with all of the regular season success, the fact that I feel like Peyton Manning is the greatest regular season quarterback of all time, and I don't think it's close. That's what has him up there for me. Because I feel like it's Brady. Right now for me, it's Brady, Manning, Montana. My top 5 is Brady, Manning, Montana. I think at this stage, I don't think there's an argument to where you can't keep Mahomes at 5, but I still have Montana in front of him.
I agree.
I have Montana in front of him. And I'm looking at the totality of all of this. And I get Patrick Mahomes is playing in an era where the passing has been plentiful and just the quarterback had been at a premium. But at the end of the day, you still got to play and you still got to perform. And you got to look at how Patrick Mahomes has already started to peak in his totality of play, regular season and playoffs. I get it. Joe Montana played in a different era. He played where running backs were at a premium. You had to run the ball. And his performance then in those eras were in a way before their time. His accuracy and his ability to just the West Coast offense and just basically the way he took control of that offense. The reason why I still think that's one of the reasons why I still think he's the top 5 quarterback of all time, because it was not for me. It was the way he played in the regular season in a running back driven era. And then the way he took it into the postseason, it was basically untouchable. Being 4-0 in Super Bowls is why I still think it's which is why I definitely still think it's a top 5 quarterback of all time.
Super Bowl 24 is one of the most perfect quarterback games played ever.
That one against the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, it's literally
55 to 10. That was, bro. If you wanted, like, if you had a sports dictionary and the word domination and you wanted to put a picture by it, it was that game.
Oh, God,
just put a picture of that score up beside the word domination. It was what San Francisco did to Denver that night. That was criminal.
I don't even think the score does that game. If you go watch,
55 to 10 doesn't do it justice either. That game had no shot.
No,
that game was done before halftime. That game might have been done in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Bill Walsh did it was over. Bill Walsh, when he sat down, there was rumor has it. No, it wasn't rumor. I remember Eddie DeBartolo, the old owner of the San Francisco 49ers, he invited Bill Walsh to his suite in order to watch the Super Bowl. And Bill Walsh was about to get up. He said the first snap of the game, Bill got up. He said, Bill, where you going, man? We got to watch the game. He said, dude, this game over.
It's over.
He said, what do you mean? He said, what do you mean? We just started. He said, look, everybody's open. Everybody's open. And that defense hey, look, people underestimate that defense with the Denver Broncos as well. They had Steve Atwater, Carl Mecklenburg, Rulon Jones, Tom Jackson was on that team.
Yeah.
So that was a great defense as well. It wasn't those teams, not to mention he beat the MVP twice. No, he beat them 3 times. Because remember, the first time he beat the MVP in the Super Bowl was Kenny Anderson.
Yep.
He beat Kenny Anderson in the Super Bowl. He beat Dan Marino in the Super Bowl because he won the MVP that year. Reset the record book that year. Then in his third Super Bowl, he beat Boomer Esiason. He was the MVP that year. So and people always say, well, and people need to start doing their history as well. Well, Joe Montana had Jerry Rice. He only had it for 5 years, idiots. What are you talking about? Jerry Rice got drafted in 1985. He only had Jerry Rice. By the time Jerry Rice got there, Joe had already won 2 rings. Mm-hmm. That just made that team a little bit more unstoppable.
Jerry Rice just made Joe Montana that much more unstoppable.
Yeah. It's like when Moss went to New England for Brady. It's that same thing. And I also just want to point out, like, Montana had already beat Marino 1-on-1 in the Super Bowl. And Marino is the exception to the rule guy when it comes to not winning a ring.
Yes.
If he
I have Marino 6 all time.
I also want to point out there's another older generation guy that I want to give credit to, and that's Johnny Unitas. I don't want him to get lost in the shuffle here. Johnny Unitas, at one point, in my opinion, not that long ago, was still top 5 quarterback of all time. I think people don't understand how good Unitas was.
He was the godfather of the quarterback position. What I think happens is much like what you said. Much like what you said, Flash. We live in the internet age, and I really think with the internet age, it's the age of too much information, and I think that people are trying to erase it. It's just like because Johnny Unitas and Raymond Berry was the first ever quarterback receiver duo that was just going out here going for touchdown for touchdown for touchdown. And if you really look at Peyton Manning in the beginning of his career, they would compare him to Johnny U.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just the thing. And, not to mention, Johnny U played the most important game in history, although it wasn't a Super Bowl. So, and when you think about all the records that Drew Brees set, 47 straight games with a touchdown, with a passing touchdown, that was Johnny U's record. So, like I said, let's not erase history, man.
Yep.
I got a little pipe bomb I'm gonna throw out. I have a little bit of a pipe bomb. I can't leave one. We gotta have one, just one. So that being said, we talk about Joe Montana and Tom Brady. 89 49ers versus the 07 Patriots. Who wins?
Jesus Christ.
All right. So the 89 Niners is one of those are probably my 2 of my favorite teams of all time. Is it the Super Bowl version of the 07 Patriots or a complete healthy team?
Everybody on this team healthy, head to head. Brady versus Montana, 89 49ers at their peak versus the 2007 Patriots. Or if you want to throw in the If you want to throw in the 04 Patriots instead of them, that'll be
no.
them.
No,
07 Patriots destroy 04 Patriots, but that's another conversation.
Dude, the 07 Patriots, it's still the best team I've ever seen when they were healthy of all time. That George Seifert, wait, hold on. George Seifert is the head coach of the Niners, right?
Yeah, George Seifert.
89, yeah.
It's
89.
not. I'm just saying, like, I know we're doing 89, and that's George Seifert, but I would love to see Bill Walsh versus Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking too. That's what I'm thinking too.
Even though we did see it as head coach versus coordinator, that did happen already. But
I think the 89 49ers beat the 07 Patriots with Bill Walsh as that quarterback, as their coach. I don't think George Seifert could out coach Bill Belichick. If we're going as constructed, I think 07 Patriots get the 89 49ers. Because I look at Bill Belichick's ability to call a defensive game. And Bill Belichick has always his motto was always take away what that offense does best. And even though the 49ers were still balanced, at the end of the day, that's still Jerry Rice. That's still Jerry Rice. And New England finds a way to bracket coverage, disguise coverage, do everything in their power to not allow Jerry Rice to really run the route, because Jerry Rice is arguably the greatest route runner in the history of football. But the Patriots I feel like Bill Belichick would be able to come up with a scheme to be able to really throw him off of his rhythm, to not get started, to jam him, just not to let him get started. And then I'm sorry, Randy Moss was just. I don't think I've ever seen a more matchup-proof wide receiver than 2007 Randy Moss. I've never seen a more matchup-proof receiver in my life. And you got to think, there's 98, there's Minnesota Moss. But 07 Moss is the most matchup-proof wide receiver I've ever seen. Ooh.
Yeah. And Running Lott, I think it was him and Running Lott would have been going head to head.
Oh, good God.
No,
that's
my bad. It would have been Don Griffith, because by that time they had moved.
Yeah, Ronnie Lott had moved to safety at that point.
For Ronnie Lott, it would have been the two corners. Well, you had three.
Don Griffin and McKyer.
Yeah, Tim McKyer, and then the two safeties were Chet Brooks and Ronnie Lott.
Yeah,
I think McKyer would probably draw Moss from a matchup perspective.
Okay.
I think Montana would win that, because the thing is that 89 team had a plethora of weapons. Because you got to think about this. The person who led who led that team in receptions, I'm not talking about yards. The guy who led that team in receptions that year, you know who it was?
Wasn't it John Taylor that year?
No, it was the fullback.
Rathman?
Yeah, Tom Rathman led that team in receptions that year.
Did he really?
Wow.
Yes. He led the team in receptions.
Wow. That's crazy.
I don't believe that.
That's crazy.
Let's go.
I don't know, man.
Okay.
Part of me. Go ahead, Flash.
Okay. I'm trying to look at matchups. I think the Niners could have figured out something with Moss, with Ronnie Lott and a combination of the corners. I think the X factor, and I don't know how San Francisco deals with him, is Wes Welker.
Yes.
Because that wasn't a real position yet.
The option route.
The slot guy.
Now, to be fair, you could, even though it's still 07, you could still be physical with guys, but you couldn't be as physical as guys as you could back in 89. So that now maybe that makes a difference. But
My bad. He was second on that team in receptions.
Second.
Yeah.
But still, though, that's your fullback. That's still astonishing.
Yeah, Jerry Rice was first with 82 receptions, and Tom Rathman was second with 73 receptions for over 600 yards.
That's crazy, though.
Dude, that's insane considering you had Roger Craig on your team too that year.
Yeah,
who is in my opinion the predecessor to what Marshall Faulk was. That's how good Roger Craig was.
Yeah,
exactly.
And each of those teams collectively, between the Patriots and between the 07 Patriots and the 89 Niners, they had 16 All-Pros.
Dude,
I think that because I'm just.
And remember, Charles Haley played for that team as well. They had not yet seen. These days they don't play the elephant position as much as they used to.
Dude, you know what's nuts is that Bill Romanowski was a special teams player on that team.
Facts.
That's how loaded they was.
I'm leaning 80. I'm 89 Niners.
Yeah.
89 Niners beat over the Patriots. Hold on. We got to ask the group chat that question.
That's probably.
I think the offensive balance of the 89 Niners is what's doing it for me.
Because I think there's 3 Patriot teams that could compete with that team. That would be 04, 07, and 2014.
Mm-hmm.
2014 is my favorite Patriot team. I love that 24. I think that is one of the most well-balanced Super Bowl championship teams ever. Defense, offense, and special teams. I think they are so deep. The defense is so talented. Like, I actually think that the 2014 Patriots that beat the Legion of Boom is a better matchup against the 89 Niners.
Yeah, because of the offensive balance. I agree.
I think the offensive balance, and I also think the 2014 Patriots defense matches up way better against that 89 Niners team. Because
of the secondary.
You had the secondary and Jamie Collins. You have Jamie Collins as a linebacker, who was one of those athletic linebackers we've had in the last 15 years, and who could at least mess around with Brent Jones. I actually maintain again, the 07 Patriot team is one of the but the balance of the 2014 team is, and you throw in Gronk, which
X factor.
The only thing that the Niners ever came close to do would have been Mark Bavaro. Up until
even he's not Gronk talented.
No, nowhere. And I don't get me wrong, Mark Bavaro was one of the better tight ends of all time, but nowhere near what Gronk was. And oh man, because that dude, you had Brandon LaFell, you had Gronk, you had Edelman, LeGarrette Blount, you had what was the other running back? Number 34. Played a huge role in that game. What?
Danny Woodhead?
No. Danny Woodhead was
Danny Woodhead, he was on the 16 team.
No, Danny Woodhead was before.
No, he was before. That's right.
Yeah.
2014 Patriots, the
34.
You said 2014 team or the 2011?
Yeah, 14
Patriots.
Shane Vereen. Shane Vereen. Yeah. You had LeGarrette Blount. Stephen Ridley was the another running back they had. Dude, they had Danny Amendola. I don't know, dude. That 89 Niner team was something else. Honestly, this is probably the toughest pipe bomb you've ever dropped, because I've thought about this before in my own head, just sitting around doing nothing. And I could not come up with an answer. I still can't.
I can't either, to be honest with you. I can't.
I think the 49ers win that game, not just because of Jerry Rice, but because of how loaded that team was. Because as loaded as the Patriots were, the Niners were just as loaded. I mean, they had Brett Jones. They had John Taylor, who John Taylor on any other team is a number one receiver.
Dude,
on any other team, he's a number one
quarterback.
Huh?
Steve Young was the backup quarterback.
Yeah. Steve Bono was backing him up. You got to think about that. That's the greatest quarterback room of all time. You had two Hall of Famers. One of them was on the bench, and Steve Bono, he went to Kansas City and becomes a Pro Bowler.
He wasn't there yet.
Steve Bono wasn't?
I'm looking at the roster right now. The only two quarterbacks they had were Montana and Young that year. Bono wasn't drafted until.
Hold on, let me go look, because I could have sworn that Bono was on the team.
That was.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, you're right.
He was drafted in 85.
You're right. Wow.
He was drafted in 85. He got to the San Francisco 49ers in 89.
You're right.
Yeah, that quarterback room's insane.
In 1995, a year after Joe Montana retires, he makes a Pro Bowl in Kansas City. So they had the most loaded quarterback room, arguably of all time, with the exception of, I'll say, that quarterback room with Brett Favre, and when he had Brunell, him, and Hasselbeck on the same team. So
you had Favre, Rodgers, and I'd have to look back at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I think the 89 Niners, not to mention, if it had to get physical, I don't think you were going to out physical Roger Craig and Tom Rathman.
And I don't think you out physical that defense, but that 07 Patriot team, like they had Rodney Harrison, Junior Seau. I know it was Seau on at the tail end of his career. I think it was his last. I think he played one more year after that.
Junior Seau, even then, he was still a scary player.
Yes, he was. 2007 New England. I want to look at that Patriots roster real quick.
They had Asante Samuel on that team.
I think that's their. I mean, you had Moss, Welker, Maroney, Dante Stallworth, Kevin Falk, Jabbar Gaffney, Sammy Morris. Sammy Morris was huge. You had Ben Watson at tight end, obviously Brady. Brewski, Ty Warren, Vince Wilfork, Mike
Willie McGinnis. I think McGinnis was still on that team.
No, McGinnis was not on there.
He wasn't on that team? Okay.
No.
Roosevelt Colvin, Junior Seau, Mike Wright. Yeah, he was. Yeah, McGinnis wasn't on that team anymore.
Yeah, McGinnis wasn't on that team anymore.
I think that shit. I don't know. How old was Ronnie Lott at that point?
Yeah, they had Ronnie Lott and Charles Haley on that team. So
yeah,
Ronnie Lott and like I said, the elephant position is still really not used in the NFL. That was pretty much exclusive. Only team I ever seen use the elephant position again was the Oakland Raiders when they had Khalil Mack. Because remember when Khalil Mack, he made All Pro as the defensive end and outside linebacker. That's how well he was being used at the elephant position.
I just want to say, I think
didn't Dan Quinn use a form of that called it Leo?
Yeah.
They
call it the elephant.
I think the 89 Niners, everybody on this team, I'm looking at the ages, is in their prime.
Yeah.
Ronnie Lott's only 30 years old. Charles Haley is 25. Montana's 33.
Kevin Fagan was on that team.
Kevin Fagan was only 26. Michael Walter was only 29. Keena Turner was 31. Chet Brooks was 23. Wesley Walls, the tight end.
Wesley Walls was on that team?
Wesley Walls was on that team at 23 years old. John Taylor was 27. Matt Millen was only 31. Pierce Holt was 27.
Wait. Time out, Flash. Time out. Pierce Holt was on that team?
Yeah, Pierce Holt was
I thought he played for Buffalo.
Nope, not that year.
Wow.
Tim McKyer was 26, even though he was injured during the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, not Tim McKyer. Eric Wright. Eric Wright was 30. Jerry Rice was 27. Roger Craig was 29. Brent Jones was 26. Like, everybody was in their prime. And that's what that to me, I think, is the difference.
You got me on that one. I did not know that Pierce Holt was on that team. I used to love Pierce Holt playing with him in Tecmo Bowl.
Yep. Compared to the Niners or the 07 Patriots, Brewski was 34. I'm looking at pretty much defense. Brewski was 34. Don't get me wrong, Ty Warren and Vince Wilfork were both 26. Adalius Thomas was 30. Mike Vrabel, 32. Asante Samuel was 26. Rodney Harrison was 35. Roosevelt Colvin was 30. Junior Seau was 38. I mean, don't get me wrong. They had some. That team had young talent. They had Brandon Merriweather, but he was ass.
Brandon Merriweather was a hitter. He was not good in coverage.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't really a good football player. Look, the 07 Patriots are a heartbreaking team it's one of those heartbreaking moments in my sports fandom ever. I legit cried walking home from the bar when they lost, even though I knew they were going to lose. But I think that 89 Niner team is close to as perfect of a built football team as you can get.
Hey, and come next week, we will have more of these matchups of old Super Bowl teams and Super Bowl teams that won and didn't win. So we will have that next week live on the Undisputed GOAT podcast. We will have those on.
I'm glad you're making this a feature to the show because I like that.
We will have that as a store.
What me and you actually, this is before we even sniffed doing this podcast. We went back and forth on TikTok about like what were the dream Super Bowl matchups that you would want. Me and you did.
One of them that I wanted and didn't have a chance to get was in 1992. Well, 1993. I wanted to see Warren Moon versus the Dallas Cowboys. So
that would have been cool.
I want to see Warren Moon versus the Dallas Cowboys because remember, Warren Moon won 12 straight that year. Won 12 straight games, and then that defense just could not stop Montana, man. So that was just something that I just like, man, we had a chance to see something special. But yeah, we're gonna be doing dream matchups, and we will get a lot more into the road to WrestleMania next week. But for now, hey man, hell of a show, man. Some of our highest ratings this year, and man, it couldn't happen without my guys, BRF and Flash, and y'all absolutely killed it on that wrestling segment, man, because that's when we got our highest ratings during that time, man. Over 10 people was watching during that time. So hell of a job, y'all, man. That's like when y'all get to talk about wrestling and baseball, I sit back and I let y'all cook because I know it's about to be a good meal. But on that note, man, this concludes the Undisputed GOAT podcast. You like and subscribe. If you're in the chat, hey, you can see the ticker. All of our information is going down below. You know where to like and subscribe at. Live from Columbus, Georgia to Madison, Georgia, all the way to Wisconsin. You see the ticker. Go and like and subscribe to all of our pages and all of our information, man. We appreciate the support. And on that note, we are done. We will see you next week Enjoy the Super Bowl. Don't drink and drive because you will get your address changed. If you don't know what that means, read between the lines. Holla.